as an alternate northbound, it's going to be slow as you approach King Road.
I'm about to fucking reboot the whole thing. Like 1, 2, 3. Oh, it worked. Okay. So there is metal debris on the 407 by, I believe they said Midland and Kingston. No, that doesn't add up. Midland and Kingston.
East of Airport Road to approach.
All right, so what we got here?
Constructions earlier, but it's slow. And 40 rebound QEW busy from Red Hill Valley Parkway to east of Centennial Parkway. With Cottage Country traffic on the 9th, I'm Craig.
Guaranteed basic income bill C-273. Really?
Simple, with hands-free ownership and positive cash flow at the simple.
An act to establish a national strategy for basic income. It is the first time a bill on guaranteed basic income has been introduced in Canada. No, it isn't. At the federal level, no, it isn't. And I want to tell you why I feel this. You fucking lying whore. It was Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Sorry, you get it. So you hear Trudeau. If you're not from Canada, you think Justin Trudeau. A lot of us think P.E. Trudeau. Okay, so tell me what you think. Now you don't want to hear what I think. Tell me what you think. This is our member of parliament. That's an MP. That's a federal MP. There's no connection at all to the MPs, except if you try to hurt them, we're supposed to jump in front of the bullets. That's how it goes.
Comeback is always stronger than a setback. You're UPS. Comeback stronger. UPS is here to help. At ups.com/comebackstrong.
There is a tow truck protest today, but I don't know what exactly they protested. I'm going to get this shit out of my pockets. Just for reference. This is what the cup looks like first. Just for reference. Hold on. I'll show you something.
Then jammed up from the 410 and the collectors and from south of Pearson and the Express all the way across the city to about Leslie.
I got the shoplifting styles going on. See all this purple? That's the blackberries I've been, you can barely see it.
From the Allen, alternately Express and collectors to Dixon. Looks like
anyway, it's all purple.
Churchill has cleared, still really jammed from west
That's
of
from
Huron,
the blackberry trees.
and from Mavis and the collectors through to about Trafalgar now. Westbound on the Gardner QEW combination, volume delays from the DVP to west of
I robbed the food bank. I got away with 2 big bags.
QEW to west of Cawthra, and then busy sections from Ford Drive onto the 403 ramp.
Look at this stuff everywhere.
It's a slow-go eastbound QEW Gardner from east of Appleby to Ford Drive and from south down to Dixie.
And I found this can of crushed tomatoes. I don't know who dropped it or lost it. But see, apples and avocado. Ooh, it's soft. What the hell? Onions, pears, a can of tuna, some packages of tuna, a weird alphabet soup that is horrible. Beans, bananas. There's a pepper in here, and I'm going to grow the peppers from seed. Watch. We're going to do it again.
From Finch to south of Lawrence, and it's still going on the southbound 400 from Finch onto the 401.
Now, of course, having mice in my house means I got to think more about how I store food. I don't normally store much food here that isn't in cans or the fridge. Now, this says skipjack tuna. It says skipjack tuna. Yeah, we all heard about the Subway thing. We all know.
The rain that's going to be making headlines here, especially with the risk of storms through country.
So you people can fuck yourselves with your black magic shit. I've had shit jump out at me for the last 20 minutes. Okay, now from the youngest age of a child, I've had adults see it happen and refuse to acknowledge what just happened.
And another few millimeters through the day with on and off showers continuing, but again, heavy rain tonight, dropping to 20. Tomorrow's high 28.
And it's everything that I go to use.
And then Sunday morning will be.
So my dishes keep ending up on the fucking floor.
By the afternoon, we should get some sun in Toronto, 30 degrees. Even though we get the sun in Toronto Sunday, late day, it's going to be still raining in Cottage Country. And Monday.
Oh, we're going to have the sun. Okay, so you guys won't get no sun because we're keeping it all.
Degrees, humidex 42. Tonight down to a low of 20 degrees. It's currently 22 degrees at Pearson.
Are you looking to improve the curb appeal?
Rico!
Have you considered changing
500 grams.
Hi,
Half poon.
inline fiberglass.
It says McAnthony's menu. Guess what? It's rice. There's no special organic way of making it. It's just rice. Plain ass rice.
And style, and leave the rest to us. All of our doors are backed by an industry-leading lifetime
instant oatmeal, maple and brown sugar, a whole bunch of those little packets.
Take advantage of the fiberglass on glass.
There was more, but I gave it to Bobby.
Be the envy of your neighborhood. InlineFiberglass.com.
When you need to know.
Breaking news.
The race to vaccinate the province continues. Pharmacies now have 2 more vaccines to offer residents.
Yeah, we'll get to the news. Don't worry. Don't we always?
Been looking for a vehicle that was going north.
I've got a roll joint in my pocket. Just give me a second here. I mean, you could start yours now.
When you need to know.
We're here.
I meant to smoke it 2 hours ago. I still haven't.
The city of Toronto about to hit another COVID vaccine milestone. Officials say today's vaccinations are 35% of adults in the city will have had 2 doses. So far, more
That's
than
500 or
1 million
700 or
shots
some
have
shit.
gone into arms in this city. Your business report is next.
This is Superfan Napatia. You see me driving a lot of SUVs, but I have
But
fallen
only
in
one
love
SUV
with the
at
new
21
Genesis
times,
GV80.
yeah.
The only seat that can compare to my courtside seat is behind the wheel of my new luxury SUV by Genesis. But there is very limited availability. Test drive the official car of the Superfan. Book your appointment at genesismississauga.ca. Don't miss the hottest SUV, the Genesis GV80.
Looking to refresh your home with stunning new flooring? Visit Alexanians now during the chain-wide grand opening.
So I've been planting blackberries everywhere. That's most of why my hand looks like this. And the other reason I was going to grab it with my bare hands, because I'm stupid. I got a quart of motor oil. Again, why do people keep throwing motor oil? They literally take it and throw it like 10 feet from their back door. And then it just sits there. Somehow, after I pick up the bottles when it starts leaking. Thank you. There's something else they gave us. You ever see these? There's peanut butter in this one. Some miniature snack bars. Could be worse. Could be a lot worse. 23 grams. Wow. 100 calories, 5 grams of sugar, gluten-free. Could be doing a lot worse. So 20 of these would make a pound, approximately.
Finance Minister Peter Bethel told me whether any more financial help might be on the way. Didn't sound
Go fuck
like
yourself.
there is. Here's what the finance minister
Doesn't
has to say.
sound like there is.
The best stimulus for an economy, I think,
Is
is
to
to
pull people up by their bootstraps. If you give them anything, it's a disincentive to work. Giving them cancer medications is a disincentive to work.
And I encourage everyone to shop local, to get your haircut, to support.
Shut up, you fucking homo. You drive an imported car.
Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca is calling on the government to institute a provincial sales tax holiday.
Has anything to do with being gay.
Give a
It's
boost to business. All right, come up to the end of the trading day here. The TSX is higher, but just by 10 points. It's up to
Simcoe, Ontario.
20,025.
Ontario
The
approved.
Dow's up
Lean ground beef.
278
Very nice.
points,
Very
up
nice.
34,400. S&P set to go out at another record. It's higher by another 1/3%. And
So I'm gonna point something out to you. The evidence is right here in my hand. What did they give us at the food bank? The lean ground beef. Oh, it's expensive. It's expensive. It's much like brown sugar doesn't exist. They take some of the refined white sugar, then they spray some of the molasses back onto it, and that's what they sell you as brown sugar. That's why if it gets moist or wet and then dries out again, you have a big clump of white sugar with brown shit around the base. So the reason they're giving away the lean, nobody wants it. You've been trying to force this down our throats forever. I go to the butcher and ask for regular ground beef, medium, because there's lean and then there's extra fatty or some shit. Oh, I give you the lean for the same price. Yeah, stupid, because I can't fucking eat it.
pretty nervous.
Oh, I know.
And you still haven't told me if it's a boy or girl.
Well, Maple Auto Mall, there's 9 dealerships, right?
Yeah, they're all beauties.
So many makes and models.
Tons.
So we should have no trouble finding something perfect in pink.
Now, these people break every food handling rule they have, and that's why I wash everything. Because the packaging eliminates the problem, just like Colombia. Eh? These come from my family. We got 2 dairies. That's why you get 2.
Foodland, North 400 busy from the 407 all the way up to 89 with some breaks. Innisfil Beach Road to approaching Dunlop Slope.
Oh, yes,
North 27
no breaks.
busiest approaching King Road. Highway 12 delayed as you approach Breckenneff. Eastbound 401 slow approaching Brock Road. Express and collectors all the way through to approaching Stevenson. And eastbound 7-115 as you approach Peterborough. It's busy from Airport Road to approaching Bensford Road. 40 rebound QEW slow, Red Hill Valley to Centennial Parkways. With Cottage Country traffic on the 9s, I'm Craig Gear.
This weekend at Foodland, local strawberries are just $3.99 a quart, and Canada Double A grade grilling steaks, buy one get one free of equal or lesser value. Foodland, fresh food, friendly neighbors.
680 news time, 4 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News. Good afternoon, it's Friday, June 25th. I'm James Monroe.
And I'm Caitlin Lee. Here's what's making news this hour.
It's just in the 680 News from the courts in Minnesota. Former police officer Derek Chauvin has been sentenced for the murder of George Floyd. That story in seconds. 680 News.
I might not always have the best news. I got the best reaction videos to shitty news, don't I? So yes, they give us 6. They used to give us 4. And they got to touch every fucking one. It's okay, I wash them before I eat them. I have to. I don't want my fucking rice cooker to get disgusting. The only reason I tell you all this stuff is to irritate the people trying to contaminate the food. What do you mean you wash it? Same as everybody does. You didn't know that? These are fucking awesome.
Still jammed up from Finch. On the southbound 404 DVP, it's busy from Elgin Mills to south of Major Math, and then from Finch to south of Lawrence. West Gardner QEW delays, DVP to west of Strong.
So I'll just read it out loud. Ozary. There we go.
27 to west of Contra and Ford Drive to the 403 ramp in Burlington. If you're headed on the westbound,
these are awesome. They're frozen for some
reason.
reason.
401 and the collectors to west of Huron, Ontario. North 410 slow from the 407 up to Beauvert, and then eastbound QB Gardner delays.
Now this one here is evil and disgusting. It's peach. We got fieldberry, strawberry, and blueberry. So these are awesome. The probiotic ones, they're disgusting. We throw those on the ground. The animals won't eat it.
Sign up today at medicalert.ca with the forecast. Now here's Natasha Ramsahide.
Yeah, we've got some rain in place and even heavier rain just starting to move from Cambridge towards Carlisle and then over to Hamilton right now. So it is steady rain right through this evening. Risk of thunderstorms, 20 degrees overnight tonight, and the rain will be heavier off to the north of us as well. We should see about 15 to 25 millimeters in Toronto by Saturday morning, and still some on and off showers through the day tomorrow. It'll be pockets of heavy showers at times with those risk of thunderstorms. 28 degrees.
Do you see what I'm saying?
This weekend, feeling like
My food, and I washed it, now it's on the floor.
Tonight down to a low of 20 degrees. It's currently 22 degrees at Pearson.
680 news time, 4:02.
With breaking news from the courts in Minnesota, former police officer Derek Chauvin sentenced seconds ago for the murder of George Floyd.
680's Michelle Mackey joins us live with the very latest. Michelle.
Caitlin, Derek Chauvin has been sentenced to 22.5 years in prison and will have to serve at least 2/3 of that sentence for his role in the murder of George Floyd. The judge in his
What's 22.5 times 365? Because you ain't getting your fucking meals, pussy. They're going to have you in PC just like you're going to be locked up just like Bernardo.
Prosecutors today asked for a 30-year sentence for the former Minneapolis police officer. And facing Derek Chauvin in court, Floyd's brother, Terrence. He asked the judge for the maximum sentence in his victim impact statement.
On behalf of me and my family, we seek the maximum penalty. We don't want to see no more slaps on the wrist. We've been through that already. In my community, in my culture, we've been through that already. Slaps on the wrist. No.
Oh, well, the white people say they don't know what you are, so it's not a culture. South Africa's not a country, it's a region. Buddy, you work for Canada, but not here, you before.
For more on this developing story, reporting live, I'm Michelle Mackey.
This is All News Radio 680 News.
Owned by an entertainment company.
It has released official guidance for people vaccinated.
All right.
Partially vaccinated against COVID. 680's Phil Martino joins us live. Phil.
Thank you
James,
for
if you are fully vaccinated,
shopping here.
and that
Really?
means you received your second shot at least 14 days ago, public health says you can gather indoors or outdoors with a small group of fully vaccinated people, and no mask or physical distancing is necessary. Also, if you've had both shots.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter that you keep spreading the virus because it'll only affect people that aren't vaccinated. And then you find out one of your friends is immunocompromised. Oh, they told us this and that. It's kind of like you idiots throwing the motor oil in the alleyway, wondering why your tap water tastes disgusting. You are the reason why. You're shitting in your own water. Now, they're about to tell you the Delta variant is taking over, and they're refusing to count Delta cases.
advice from public health is outdoors with a small group of fully vaccinated individuals. No mask or physical distancing is necessary if everyone's comfortable with that. But wear a mask and maintain physical distancing indoors with people from multiple households who are unvaccinated or
if you're comfortable with that.
Wear a mask indoors or outdoors in a large crowd where people are closely gathering. For
Fresh
Latino,
tomatoes.
680 News.
Says all natural. That doesn't mean anything. GMO free. Really? You're not allowed to label that. Oh, product of Canada. I thought it was American. Hold on. Manufactured for Borelli USA Inc., Shelby Township, Michigan. Product of Canada.
The Delta variant is also the most contagious variant observed to date, spreading an estimated 50% faster than the Alpha variant. While we must remain vigilant.
No, the Alpha was 50. Oh, see, they're playing games with numbers. It's 70. 70% more than 70% is more than 70%. Yeah, 1.7 times 1.7 times 1.7. What's that add up to? A lot.
Data currently shows the number of infections and hospitalizations continue to fall across
the For Good Foundation that feeds us garbage and puts it in cans you can't open with a standard can opener.
A student at St. Mike's, the teen was a student at the time, so found guilty.
Same with these. How do I know? I got one of those right up on the shelf. Right.
During the trial, his lawyers argued he should be acquitted
just off screen.
He acted under duress, fearing he would become the victim if he didn't participate in the 2018 incident. The team also faced the same charges in a similar incident against another student.
He's the instigator. His first story was that it happened to him before. They keep changing the story. Yeah, because rapists never change. Oh, and at that age, really? You've never heard of a teenager raping a baby? You've never heard of that? Because it's in the fucking news all the goddamn time.
More people are dead. Nearly 160 remain unaccounted for. Global Affairs Canada says preliminary reports indicate Canadian citizens may be affected. As we hear from ABC's Jim Ryan, many are now asking how this could happen.
Some of the hypotheses center on the design or maintenance of the Champlain Tower South. Others
too much sand in the concrete. Nope. Those buildings will last 500 years, but you put too much sand in the concrete. You put too much sand in the concrete.
But Mayor Charles Burkett
sliced beach.
Unbelievable to me that that
Flake light tuna.
made available.
Pour bien. The same for good.
The only theory that's been scrapped is that the collapse was an intentional act. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Surfside, Florida.
You said Osama bin Laden did it on purpose when all his buildings fall down. No, I'm not making a joke about the Twin Towers, which is the crossways here. I'm talking about the Osama Construction Company, the bin Laden Construction Group.
Horrified and ashamed, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tells the Cowessess First Nation and all communities impacted the government is sorry.
I know that no words can right these terrible wrongs.
Come on, buddy, do brown face for us. Do brown face and drink a liter of fucking tap water, nigga. You can do brown face and drink a liter of tap water. You can have my meal today, brethren. No, shut up. I want to see if you do it.
Indigenous Relations Minister Carolyn Bennett.
I am disappointed by what Minister Bennett did. She has apologized quite rightly.
I don't know how to eat these. I was going to try to grow it, but I don't know how to cook it or prepare it. It's avocado. It's already soft.
Jody Wilson-Raybould is motivated by her pension and calls for the government to focus on residential schools and not an election.
Del Monte, the company that shoots up brown people to sell more bananas.
Spence, we've been proudly Canadian for 40 years and
celebrate
official languages.
No.
To be the diamond destination for couples who share that joie de vivre, that trusting bond that can best be described as je ne sais quoi. A special engagement ring is the ultimate symbol of a couple's commitment. La crème de la crème that binds a one-of-a-kind union between two soon-to-be fiancés. Oh, Canada, how we love happy endings. Spence Diamonds. Find us in Vaughan, Scarborough, and Mississauga.
Oh, Canada. Not one of those is French. Those are loan words. Those 6, 7 was Oh, Canada. AU, Canada. 6 things are French loan words in English. They're English words now. They're French loan words, but you're not speaking French. You're speaking English. Those 6 different things you said are English expressions borrowed from French. So you're not serving in 2 different languages. How do I know? You've never run an ad in French in 25 years. How do I know? I was still in French immersion when I first heard your ads, you dickhead piece of shit. Fucking white boys. Hey, what'd you do with the other Spence nigga? He went to Colorado to make synthetic diamonds, right? And you only ran that commercial twice. They replaced them with the domesticated black man, and the white guy that's sort of not really white. And probably a gay chick. There's got to be a gay chick in there too for the commercial. This here is what I'm going to be growing. I'm going to be growing this. Pears, apples, onions. I'm going to watch these motherfuckers before I put them in my fridge. Swear to God. And there's onions in here too. Oh, damn it. Damn it.
Your windshield in the blink of an eye. At Speedy Glass, we can quickly fix that.
Even the best drivers have nothing to do with your window getting smashed up, stupid. It's the one problem with your car that ain't the driver's fault.
Our work comes with a lifetime warranty, and it may even be free for you if you're insured. So don't ignore that.
Oh yeah, because insurance is free.
Today at speedyglass.ca. Conditions apply. Details at speedyglass.ca.
Speedy Glass Repair. Speedy Glass Replace.
680 News Time, 411. Zach Bodenstein.
This report brought to you by Sale, and what a drive it is out there. Southbound 410, the ramp to the westbound 407 is closed for a crash. They just shut that down. Meantime, on the eastbound 401, you'll find delays east of Guelph line on and off to east of Mississauga.
All the nails in the road, buddy.
And the collectors and south of Pearson and the express to Leslie. Westbound 401 slow from Fixin to approaching Salem. Slow going again from McCowan. Alternately, express collectors all the way to Dixon, and then busy from west of Huron, Ontario in the express, and Mavis collectors to west of Trafalgar. Heading out of downtown on the north DVP, you'll find it jammed up from the Gardner all the way up to York Mills. North 404 busy from Finch to 16th Avenue. We're trouble free through there, but still really slow. Southbound 404 DVP delays south of Elgin.
Well, we'll say in 1902, you could buy a Model F Packard, which was a single-cylinder car, but a very substantial single-cylinder car, and that was a $2,500 car in 1902. So that was a lot of money in 1902. That was about double the price of the Winton, which was also a very expensive car. And you think $2,500 could buy you a complete car, 50 years later. So they were definitely pushing the market. And most notably, in 1903, they introduced a car that was the most expensive car by any American manufacturer, $7,500.
And cars were 17 years old at the time.
And that car was, they kind of been ahead of themselves with that car engineering-wise, but it was quite an achievement, the car. But they only produced 3, I think, and ended up recalling all of them. It wasn't a success, but it was probably
no fruit or nothing. Damn.
And complex American car, as well as being the most expensive. So I think that they learned a lot from that car, and to not get too experimental with the engineering, and took a bit more grounded approach after that. And I think that the failure of that car actually set the tone for their success for the next 30 years.
Right up until World War II. And
what?
Then they retooled, I guess, for war production. But nonetheless, I'm just fascinated that they had the first American racing car to be available for sale.
So, well, Honda sold F1s for $2 million if you had the money. So, the one thing that didn't have to be retooled for World War II, automobile factories. You know why? Because they were still making automobiles, you fucking retard. Oh, the clock company switched to making guns. The radio company kept making radios. Hold on. Whirlpool, General Electric, all up and down this street here with the, I got a newsletter right behind this leopard from next door, the fuel pellet plant.
Impossibly expensive. And it was really, certainly for an American car, the first sort of lightweight, high performance, very nimble racing car. So very advanced thing. And but definitely, again, a little ahead of its time, that one, where it was so different, it would have been more successful a little bit later, I think, had they introduced it.
Again, Evan Knight is with us, automotive historian. On this date, the last Packard rolled off the assembly line. This is a classic American luxury car. See some in the movies, and still, I guess, some are maintained, usually for weddings or things like that, you know, because it goes back to the Gilded Age, when this car was really ruling supreme. Now, what happened? So here you go.
Are you retarded? He just told you 1903. You're fucking the 20s was 20 years later, dumbass.
By itself, but then it gets eclipsed by the
It
Cadillac.
was the Gilded Age when steam, coal-powered, electric, and peanut oil-fueled cars were all had 3 wheels and 1 cylinder.
Details on how that happened.
Well, I think that, you know, the industry changed. If you look at Packard up into the 20s, their best sales year was 1929. So the year of the stock market crash. And so just before the crash, they were having their biggest year ever. And their market was high end. So the depression sets in, their sales plummet. 33 was the lowest sale year in Packard history. You know, their sales just went on a steep nosedive from that point. And they continued to produce, in a way, they produced some of their most famous and most desirable cars in that Great Depression period. 1932 to 1934 is the peak of desirability for Packards today. They're wonderful looking cars and beautifully designed, but they sold very few of them relative in that relative period.
They made armored cars.
So they did not have the capital to, you know, evolve their product.
Now, what is this black shit on the side in between? This is why I don't like your packaging. The Colombians know what I'm talking about. This is not hermetically sealed.
Keep up with times, but I think, you know, where they were real strong before the Depression, they had trouble gaining the foothold, and I think the bigger, more established multi-tier companies had deeper resources to access to evolve.
Multi-tiered meaning in the pocket of the government with the defense contractors.
They contributed some
They left out 1914 and 1918.
Production of aircraft engines and other things.
1918 flew. You know how many body trucks they had?
Work they did. They produced the Rolls-Royce, most famously the Rolls-Royce Merlin aircraft engines here.
They still make. They still make.
The Packard engineering was that when they received the design work from Rolls-Royce, that was like an 800 horsepower aircraft engine, and by the time Packard finished developing it, it was like a 2,400 horsepower aircraft engine. So they were really.
Now these are piston engines, radial engines.
Their team of engineers.
Cylinder. There's probably 12 of them, 12 or 16 or some shit. Probably. I don't know for sure.
Rapidly. And General Motors, being a big company with a lot of divisions, a lot of price ranges, had more resources to modernize. And Packard was still really producing cars with their pre-war engines and relying on engineering from that earlier period, and just didn't get up to speed quick enough. I think a lot of it was. And the luster came off their product as far as, you know, the perception in the marketplace was that it was a bit antiquated. And, you know, ultimately they would get involved with Studebaker and acquire the
talk about the Nash, the Nash, what is it, Nash 600 and the Rambler Ambassador?
A millstone around their necks. Yeah, it became a millstone with Studebaker draining resources and whatever, so that pact did not serve them well. So again, the last one rolled off the assembly line in Detroit on this date in '56. You know, you can still find some of them in vintage restored shape. My father-in-law had one at 31 Packard.
Shut up, you fucking racist piece of shit. Millstone around your neck. So a millstone's like 10 fucking feet wide and it's a big ring. When the windmills, so it's a millstone. Typically in the Netherlands, run by wind. Here in North America, typically run by a water wheel. At least that's what the history books show us. And they would put it around your neck and throw you in the lake to drown you if you didn't do what the fuck the white people wanted. You racist fucking piece of shit. That was the millstone around their neck and the nigger beater in the hand of the white man on the Arm & Hammer box. That hammer on the baking soda box is called a nigger beater. That's what it's called. Arm & Hammer. It's a white guy's arm. What do you call the fucking guns now? Hammers, don't you? Because you're fucking stupid.
At the hearing, the sentencing hearing, it said he couldn't go into detail because there's more to still come forward. Kind of apologize for what I heard to the Floyd family for what that's worth, but these are all the details now being...
Hold on. That doesn't count at the end of everything. He kept his mouth shut all this time.
The Attorney General in the state of Minnesota. We'll bring you an update on that story.
Hey, you heard about them trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan? Your best rule correct on this shit, eh?
John, new problems on the 410, the South 410 at the off-ramp to the westbound 407. That's closed for a collision that occurred on the ramp, but that's the only highway troubles we have right now. Right from that, it's pretty busy. Pretty much anywhere you go right now. It has a regular Friday volume. It's usually the busiest day of the week, but also it's just a very messy drive with the on and off rain and poor visibility.
I don't know why they do this except to like prevent counterfeiting or something. It's a really weird design.
But there are in-town issues downtown. A closure of King Street east of Bathurst at Portland, and that's a fire.
We get donated what doesn't get bought, basically. So they always make too much of everything. The fruit markets always buy too much fruit, etc., etc.
With a crash, another Highway 27 in Albion. Right now at the Big Thrill sales event, get up to $4,000 standard rate finance cash on select 2021 Nissan models. Get your thrills at Nissan.ca.
On Route 66.
Radio 640 Toronto. Shop for traffic.
Want to save on data? With Freedom Mobile, get Canada's most affordable unlimited data plans, starting at only $50 a month. Visit freedommobile.ca for
Nouveau 410 in the collectors south of the airport.
Remontée de évidemment qu'on a à cœur, et à ce sujet, cette semaine, il y a un nouveau rapport de une remontée de confiance envers les médias partout dans le monde. En fait, ce rapport nous apprend que 44% des 92 000 répondants ont dit faire confiance à la plupart des nouvelles. Alors 44%, ça peut paraître un peu faible, mais dites-vous que c'est quand même une hausse de 6 points de pourcentage par rapport à l'année précédente, par rapport à 2020. Et ma collègue Marjorie a pris dans ma part.
To pure Ontario, and then from approaching Dorval to the 403 ramp in
So I got this rice and pasta and crackers I cannot leave out. I don't know where to put it. I'm going to stick it in the fridge for the moment because of the fucking mice.
Busy from the 401 in the collectors to west of Pure Ontario, and from the QEW to west of Waterdown, north 410 getting busier.
Treaty of Watertown.
Williams Parkway, east QE Gardner slow, east of Appleby to Ford Drive, south down to Dixie and over the Humber Bridge. Only one problem to go. It's
we don't know what you are. I didn't ask you to determine what I was, you fucking whore, since you never studied biology or genetics. I'll see how you could determine what I am. But you do know, since Afro-Dutch goes back 420 years, or more, we've been around 3 times as long as your country. And you hate us because we're the niggers that you're not allowed to purchase, and we're allowed to own land and slaves, and we're First Nation. You can't fucking kick us off the land. You fucking hate us. You made all these agreements, and you get mad when you realize we understood what we were negotiating.
We've got risk of thunderstorms in Toronto. Again, right.
And even if you're not Dutch, but you come from a line of people call themselves that, guess what? My mind's close enough because I understand what happened.
Humidex of 42 by Monday, partly cloudy skies with an afternoon storm risk. Tonight down to a low of 20 degrees. It's currently 22
I got called nigger during my eviction tribunal. We don't know what you are.
To 22.5 years in prison for killing.
We don't know what you are. You know. I love watching white people ruin their lives on meth. I will never get tired of seeing that. I'll never get tired of seeing that. 25 years from now, no matter how good the TVs are, YouTube, whatever, I am going to be looking up hood movies of white people wrecking their lives on fucking meth. I'm allowed to watch that, am I not? Hey, remember the computer game where you had to run around shooting gooks and niggers? Do you remember that computer game? Oh, no one wants to talk about that. Computer games are bad and evil, and what's the word? Make people violent. It's the computer game's fault that all that happens. But this racist game where you kill niggers and gooks is just a game.
680 News, working for you.
We call them goons, if you're wondering. That's why we say goonies in general and goons in regards.
Police say the driver of the vehicle that struck a disabled vehicle on the shoulder killed a 73-year-old
handy-capable
man And the driver is a 17-year-old from Toronto. Sergeant Gary Schmidt says there are several possible factors that led to the crash. Investigating alcohol.
Speed. When you say speed is a factor, you're basically saying even at 0 miles an hour, because that's a speed.
Victim pronounced dead at the scene. Anyone with info is asked to contact police. Coming up in 60 seconds, it's Richard.
Yeah, it's not because he's 17. It's because you're biased based on a whole bunch of other reasons.
Great news. The bank has approved you at a 1.55% rate.
What the what?
What is this one? What flavor is this?
Another mortgage is 1.15%.
Well,
This unit not labeled for individual sale may contain wheat, milk, soy, and tree nuts.
Variable rate, same features, no fees. 1.15%.
Well, the Colombians would have this either wax paper or today it'd be polypropylene plastic, and there'd be 10,000 of them in a barrel, and you just grab as many as you want. And no, you got to put them in a cardboard box because we can only count to 12 3 times.
For your points during the bonus redemption event. Now until Tuesday, June 29th, get up to an extra $15, $40, or $100 off when you redeem 50, 100, or 200,000 PC Optimum points in store or at shoppersdrugmart.ca. So as you're getting ready for the sunny days ahead, remember, you'll get more for your points. A Shoppers Drug Mart exclusive. Details in store. 680 News Channel at 426.
No, they throw all the boxes out and rebag everything. They were doing the same thing with the rice. They repackage everything with their hands. Every little bit helps. This bitch isn't wearing a hairnet or a mask, dipping her hair into my coffee. Yeah, the one person said he was going to make the coffee. Oh, you do it. She makes him. I can't drink that now. Fucking racist piece of shit. But I think it's funny because the room you're working in has asbestos, and you're so much smarter than us. So when we told you not to touch it, you crunched it up and made fibers go everywhere. And then they closed that room because of COVID. So there's never been an inspector in there since because it's not open to the public. You're inhaling asbestos every day, you racist pieces of shit. Oh, I've been exposed at least 3 times to asbestos. But it's the niggerhood, so they don't care. It's the courthouse, so they don't care. They don't have to tell us.
Air Canada is the only publicly traded airline, and that stock was down 1.7%.
The only publicly traded airline. It is also owned by the government, and it used to be owned by the government. Yeah. Not real news. 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 Hey, how come Elon Musk doesn't sell perfume? Think about it. It could be. You could just say Elon, and then the small letters Musk. It's the most obvious marketing thing to me. I'm gonna smoke that joint. Give me a second.
Down to the lunar surface with this thing, so that'll be a hotly watched test flight.
Getting them to the lunar surface is easy. Getting them off again is the hard part.
Federal government approval to start launching paying customers into low Earth orbit. Richard Branson's rocket ship company is planning 3 more test flights before the 8 flights start later.
That's what I was going to say. This guy's in competition.
One of the first ones.
So Richard Branson, Bill Gates, the Saudi prince. Oh, he's brown. He doesn't count. He actually does. It's just the media in the United States says he doesn't. The world's richest person is not the people you think it is. There's a bunch of Saudis. There's like 6 Saudis in a row.
Branson added 1/3%. The Nasdaq down 9. Canadian dollar at 81.3 cents US. This is 680.
These guys laugh at Elon Musk. They laugh at Elon Musk. They laugh at him. They also laugh at the Western world entertainment and shit. So when Saudis see or hear about Elon Musk being on Saturday Night Live, they go, see, I told you it was a fucking mental case. Have you seen the clips or heard them? They're horrible. If you thought Saturday Night Live was bad, and we see Elon Musk as the host, or that's the one, right? The Tesla guy. Which one is he? There's 2. There's Bezos and Musk, right? That's the other one. Bezos, Bill Gates, the Saudi, and Richard Branson. And down here is Elon Musk playing with his toy. I'm going to put a car in a spaceship. Why? Telling the whole world about sustainability. You do shit like that. Told the whole world to switch to Bitcoin because it's good for the environment, and then it's not. I see signs on the outside of restaurants. It says to use the debit card because it's faster and it's cleaner, it's safer for our employees, and it's sustainable. Really. The banknote will last 200 years with no maintenance, no electricity. And you think your point-of-sale terminal that you cannot clean? You've had 40 years to tell the point-of-sale terminal companies you want point-of-sale terminals that you can disinfect. And because you don't ask for that, they don't make that. Why would they? In fact, you put them stupid little rubber flappy things. If your bank puts little rubber flappy things on the ATM, I'm going to tell you something. They're responsible for you getting HPV from me. Oh, yeah. Every time your hand brushes against that, I've got a very specific type of warts that only grows here. You think I'm joking? I'm not. I used to. There's a weird thing. My immune system takes a long time to kill things off, but I've beat off things you're not supposed to be able to beat off, including warts. Oh. Junkies in my fucking life, man.
Green in downtown Toronto, 22 degrees. 680 News Time, the double tones for
the double tones.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Good afternoon. It's Friday, June 25th.
Why didn't I microwave it? Because it was cooked 2 years ago.
Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin sentenced to 22.5 years in prison, and will have to serve at least 2/3 of that for his role in the murder of George Floyd.
The Public Health Agency of Canada has released its official guidelines for people vaccinated against COVID-19.
15 years, 10 months.
Giving Canadians a clearer picture of what they can and cannot do. A teen found guilty in the sexual assault of another student at St. Michael's College School.
The Islanders in Lightning are back in Tampa Bay for Game 7 tonight, and the Jays turn to Alec Manoah for Game 2.
Now, every time this case comes up, St. Michael's Academy starts advertising on 680 News.
680 News Time, 4:31.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Zach Rosenstein.
It's starting up in the chopper and flying over an absolutely miserable drive on the 401 east and westbound. So westbound 401 delays start around Stevenson to approaching Salem, then from McAllen all the way to Dixon and both express and collectors.
Is this us, Ocean Brands? Do we own this?
Express Mavis collectors to west of Trafalgar. I mean, eastbound on the 401, it's jammed up from
What's the name of it? Is it Ocean Brand? There's another
and then it's slow going from the 410 collectors and south of the airport and the express.
It's called the oligopoly. It means no matter if we own this one. We own one of them.
And then solid from approaching Victoria Park and the collectors to east.
Responsibly caught ginger lemon sesame tuna. Well, I know you're lying because the fisherman had to be drunk to catch a ginger lemon sesame tuna. There's a spoon of sesame seeds. What does a sesame look like?
Very heavy out of downtown. North DVP delays from the Gardner to York Mills. North 404 slow from Steeles to north of Elgin Mills. And then we have West Gardner QEW delays. DVP all the way out to west of Huron, Ontario, and approaching Dorval to the 403 ramp in Burlington. Come try their famous apple bread, 3-pound pies, and cider from the 401 Cider Brewery. Look for the big red smiling apple off the 401 east at exit 497.
Apple, we're gonna get mad.
It's hard to miss, but we've got a lot of rain out there, so maybe it'll impede your vision, Natasha.
Oh, is it raining? Someone didn't tell me. No, I'm just kidding. We know it's raining, and it is going to get heavier here into the evening and over.
Why don't I make fun of them for those little quips? Because they're on the radio. There's only so much they're allowed to joke about.
15 to 20, maybe up to 25 millimeters. That's from now until Saturday noon. And then we'll have on and off showers in Toronto tomorrow. Overcast conditions, 28, feeling like 37. Watch Saturday afternoon, cottage country. Some of your storms may approach severe limits. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some severe thunderstorm watches and warnings issued there tomorrow. Tonight down to a low of 20 degrees. It's currently 22 degrees at Pearson.
This is 680 News.
Breaking news from Minnesota, where a sentence has been handed down to Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd.
680's Michelle Mackey joins us live. Michelle.
Derek Chauvin will have to serve 2/3 or 15 years of his 22.5-year prison sentence. A move CNN's Omar Jimenez says is mandated by the state of Minnesota.
The guidelines are when you're sentenced, you serve 2/3 of that sentence mandatory. And then for Derek Chauvin in particular, if he shows
22.5 times 12,
he's eligible to serve that final third under supervised release.
And handing down his sentence, Judge
270, so 180 months. Sorry, no, 270 months. 2/3 is 189, 1827.
10 years for aggravating factors.
9, 1827. Now look. Now I'm doing it backwards because of the camera. 9.
And also the particular
1 and 8.
Prosecutors
2
earlier today asked for a 30-year
and
sentence
7.
while Chauvin's defense attorneys argued
4
for probation and
3
time served.
and
Reporting
6.
live, I'm Michelle Mackey.
4 and 5. 5 and 4.
9,
18, 27, 36, 45. 4, 5. Did you catch what I'm doing there? No? My aunt taught me that.
Joins us live with more details. Phil.
So 207. So it's exactly 15. Right. 22, 15.
You have the all clear from public health.
15, 30, 45. You divide 45 in half, you get 22 and a half.
Outdoors with a small group of fully vaccinated
Divide into thirds, you get
individuals,
15.
and no mask or physical distancing outdoors with people
So
from
it's 15 years. 15 years exactly. It's 15 years. 15 years.
Like when you're
I hope they keep your cell at 15 degrees, pussy.
Now, what about if you're unvaccinated or partially vaccinated?
I hope you live a long fucking time.
Is to continue
I
to wear
hope
masks
nobody
and
ever
maintain
stabs this
physical
man up
distancing
in a fatal way. I
indoors
want him to
with
live a
people from
long
multiple
fucking time.
households who are
I think differently than a lot of
unvaccinated,
people.
partially vaccinated, like at an indoor birthday party
It ain't because I expect him to have a good time of it. Just know that much.
People are closely gathering like a concert. You can remove your mask if you're outdoors with a small group.
Yeah, you can do that anyway. What are you talking about? None of this is rules. They're just making up fucking shit here.
New federal modeling warns the Delta variant could make a possible fourth wave worse than initially thought. But Dr. Teresa Tam says much will depend on what happens when provinces lift health restrictions. She appeared upbeat today in what the next couple of months could look like.
Summer is looking pretty good. And what I'm watching for is what happens when
Summer is looking pretty good. What I'm looking for. Way to put on the fake chink accent, you fucking whore. She speaks in perfect Canadian English the entire time. Now you're being racist to me because I'm a. They asked if you were working for the government of China because everybody knows this shit probably came out of a lab. With our help, Winnipeg, thank you. You didn't hear her putting on that fucking horrible bad English accent.
Student, the attack in November 2018 at St. Michael's College.
I don't care how you speak, what accent you speak with. She speaks perfect Canadian English 24/7 for a year and a half. All of a sudden, she's fucking talking like she just came off the dory fish boat. I don't know.
7 students originally charged with
I know that's Vietnam. It's a different Asian country. That's racist of me. It's racism because Vietnam's a different Asian country. Thank you, YouTube. Please block up my shit over and over and over while I'm talking shit. This is not real.
Spokesperson says no further information is available, but consular officials in Miami are in close contact with local authorities. Here's ABC's Dave Packer.
As more help arrives, Surfside, Florida Mayor Charles Burkett concerned about wind and rain pelting the debris pile.
That's not going to do anything, moron. What it will do is somebody down underneath the rubble that's still breathing is going to end up in a puddle of water. You need a dewatering service. Do you have one? Do you have the where are the drains at the bottom of the parking garage? Did you?
And then they shore up, and they tunnel, and they shore, then another crew comes in.
What the fuck are you doing? You guys are assholes. Look at us. We're good people. You're killing people. That's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. You take pieces off the top over and over and over. Every piece off the top. You don't go underneath or sideways. What the fuck is wrong with you?
680 News Time, 4:37. Many businesses calling on the government to provide more financial support.
Well, you never seen this type of milk. You got to drink it sideways.
As bills become due and government financial support unwinds. We asked Ontario Finance Minister Peter Bethel if the government will issue any more financial help to businesses.
The best stimulus for an economy, I think, is to reopen these businesses.
The Ontario government is not giving any assistance whatsoever to businesses. None. Zero.
The minister didn't make it sound like
They've never done it. Are they going to give more again? Like the last time? They never gave them anything.
It's really disappointing.
Go through the last 2 years of videos. Find me the one with the recording of them doing something for Ontario businesses.
Let's not forget, these are people's dreams that are crumbling before their eyes.
The Ford government.
Oh, yeah, because when it's white people, their dreams, their delusions are what's important. 4 out of 5 businesses go out of business in the first year in this country, province, city, whatever.
You're more than a business owner.
Those people applied for financing, put the previous tenant out of business, and they borrow enough money to stay in business for maybe 6 months or 3 months. Then the property stays vacant a year and a half. The landlords cry poor to the government and refuse to take care of the property.
So is UPS.
Okay, so I think we had enough news. Ooh. So that's all the shit I got from the food bank. Bear in mind, I'm one single individual person, and I gave some of the stuff to Bobby. I was gonna give it to somebody else, but he's right there. Hey, as long as you got somebody to give it to, Bobby, good for you. Who's Bobby? Search the channel for Friday Night with Bobby or some bullshit like that. You'll find him. You're the little Trini man. He's hilarious. Don't worry. Now, this is a virtual version of what I'm talking about. The SoundCloud app just disappeared off the fucking screen when I'm about to turn it on. Thank you. Oh, we got a potato farmer. I meant to paste this. I should have pasted this. We got a potato farmer that just won something. I'm not sure. This has Lotto Max. That might be $70 million. It might be 1 million. Right here. Okay, so I'm gonna smoke this joint I rolled 2, 3, 4 hours ago. You know what? I rolled this at like lunchtime because I left on time in order. Yeah, every time I speak and do anything with the screen, with the computer, I want it to lock up and show me my face all edited. And Jerky says, "You guys are so creative."
Check the cycle. We got when we run fire like I only get a piece because.
So, I've been collecting blackberries now, and blackberries are messy. Is the reason I don't mess with them too much, because I cannot sell you single cigarettes when I got blackberry juice. I could. Some people wouldn't care. Some people would. Grapes, tomatoes, elderberries, I believe is what these ones are. The Canadian Ensis, well, I'm pretty sure. Blackberries and cherries is what I've been growing everywhere. I'm only taking credit for scattering the seeds. Some people are like, oh, I grow weed. I do it this way and I do it that way. The plant is doing the hard part, dumbass. All the things you're doing wrong, the plant has to figure out how to survive it. But in any event, I was thinking about that. I think that I've scattered enough seeds to grow enough plants in places they wouldn't otherwise be growing already. Because plants can't get up and walk. That you'll notice some plants will grow up and then the fruit gets real heavy and the thing leans over. In an evolutionary sense, plants, the fruit-bearing plants, are basically trying to they're trying to walk 1 more meter, 1 more foot to the next spot and the next spot. They have no way to get up and move, so they're trying to get the seeds further away. All I got to do is pick them up, walk around, and throw them on the ground again. This shit grows all by itself. Got grapes growing everywhere. I can smell a skunk out there. This is not skunk weed. I got to get one of these Spot Gen 3 fucking GPS things, and you know the body worn cameras the cops have. They have a plainclothes version. You're like, how the fuck are you plainclothes with a camera hanging off your neck? It hangs on a chain, just like you see the police have their badge on a chain when they're in plainclothes doing the drug raids on TV. I'd say on TV for you guys. For us, it's in real life. These motherfuckers come marching up the steps. Oh, fuck, they all got badges. It's probably real. That's why they do that, eh? So they don't get shot in the face. I got to get one of them cameras.
I got a Rello twisted thicker than a rising bread. Got me feeling nicer and over they were there. I got that bomb cooking straight from Hiroshima.
Hydroponics, Chernobyl, and
President
Fukushima.
Obama got me smoking presidential. And on my weed meds that they carry big credentials. Smoking on some banging grip straight from South Central. I told the head this and the head turned into that. How you learning? While I'm burning. Presidential Bill Clinton and she slurping. Steak in the air. Like a landfill, this could slide it in up like a play ambulance. I smelled it through the jump, I was so off. Got it at the doctor's with the weed card. Experimental when it comes to the medical. Commander-in-chief smoking presidential.
We're not ministers.
Kush out of Washington and Lincoln, Jefferson, Jackson, and Benjamin. We all cushed out on my tail medicine. I'm smoking on the type of weed that win awards. Presidential suite on the 420 a flow. My weed man through the Pineapple Express. Obama got me lifted, military press. Passenger 420 on Air Force One. Smoking so much kush like I got 4 lungs. THC releasing dopamine at high level. Got me laughing at everything like I'm real feral. Lighting up everywhere like it's legal. Lighting up like it's Christmas sprinkle. Smoking over rocks,
with the black
drinking
beats.
over rocks. Got me fucked up like I could book rocks.
So you don't follow along. Snow leopards. Snow leopard. This, I guess it's a yellow piece of paper, but it's cyan. It's what's the word? Saffron. This is from when they had the actual carbon copies. They had them color coded. Color coded? How the fuck you color code pages? Some people are colorblind. Yeah, there was a two letter code for the color in the fucking corner. This is why a lot of I actually have a set of fucking trailer wires right here that are labeled. They're color coded and it's got the color written on the side. It used to be if you were colorblind or left-handed, you couldn't be an electrician. Now I skipped one track back.
I only get on these beats because you can't. My mind got a state of gold like Kevin Durant. We've been dogs since day one, like the letter get a chant. Back when Disney never had box under the stamp. It's a camp on my glass stamp, held it down like a clamp. Yeah, and mess up your stomach, it's not cramps. Every time I take off, so I did it off a ramp. Thought your boy was soldier, but it was telling and got cranks. Self-lager, self-sipping Canadian lager. Yeah, orange is a new black, baby just free flocker. Like this big on the streets, like Pete Topper. Killing shit, but came out of thunder like Ibaka.
Black flag, like the black maple leaf on my census form. Look in the top left corner. My hands are full. It's black. It could be red. I show you the HSB logo on the envelope, and it's red, isn't it? But the Canadian flag is black. Black flag beats a raid anytime. It's supposed to be a T-shirt. This is a polo. It's a T-shirt with buttons. Close enough, son. It's a polo shirt. Black. Canadian Forces Military Police dress code. Black T-shirt. Local purchase. I paid $1, sir. Not for one, for a whole bunch of them each. Average of $1 and change.
Casa,
I win.
Casa, and a blue balaclava. Pop out the piece like a cassava. We got it. When we burn fire, it's like lava. Before we got social, all the media palmers, comma. You ain't got bars like that. 13 stats like you ain't got scars like that. My nigga in the jacket moving like the Starlight rap. It's all I rap. Get these groupies off my back. Blah, blah. Learn to them all, listen to them shots from my nigga dog it up. Learn to them all, listen to them shots from my nigga dog it up.
So a lot of people only hear like the songs that go to video or play on the radio. This is this is one of the more popular, more well-known tracks off of Snoop Dogg's. It's not dog food, but the rolling down the street, smoking. This is on there. So a serial killer is another one they don't talk about. Lady of Rage, rocking stuff with my. Pretty sure it's the same one with my Afro puffs. You know what I'm talking about? Who gave them black kids them black guitars? Who did them black boys think they are? You don't know that one either? It's okay.
I'm Snoop Dogg. I put your legs in a doggy style. Slap you for a week.
That was the album name, wasn't it?
Guarantee you don't walk a while. A rich rappers call him a name. I better knock him down the dominoes. Nigga, I snap like a crocodile. Like if they needed space, my bullets hit him with rocket power. Cook enough coke and never looking like cauliflower. Yeah, with the lyricist. Oh yeah, niggas is pussy. Off clitoris. Haters when I'm killing this. This rap shit, I touch everything like a physicist. If you playing, I'm going off. Like I'm ticklish. You little bitch, better watch your Uma. You're glowing up in Gucci. All my people want a Puma. The bullets got no name and they travel like a Uber. They send you to shoot niggas, tell on you like Cuda. Like what's truer? These niggas newer. We used to keep the rat in the sewer. So we don't ever mix it with manure. I'm the future. In your past, these motorcycles damn go fast. I treat this bitch like Bangladesh. I bang my chest. Gorilla, break your flesh. Spend complex and contact with man confess like blackberry.
And that's why it's some artists you never heard of, probably Dre bars. It would say it's listen to the sound of my nigga doggy dog. It's from his album. That's why it's that's they put it right into the not the chord, the loopy part of the beat. You don't do that for every artist, do they? And you don't typically get to sample that shit. Yeah. But Suge Knight still owns the rights to that shit, so nobody gives a fuck about collecting the royalties on it, I think is what's happening.
This is simple mathematics. I'm on the track and ask is casketed. I don't fuck around if you're asking it. For this way, so don't be asking it. The aftermath is a factor. Other up skills, it's apparent that you're lacking it.
So I'm coming across a weird technicality. My bail papers, I know I read them into the video here. It says I got to be amenable to everything the Aboriginal court worker says. And I look at the other piece of paper. It says these are the resources available to Mr. Vanden Kerkhoff upon his release. It's like, it doesn't say you got to go to this one for anger management or you got to go to this one for smudging. It doesn't say none of that, like which one I got to do. Which means I got to talk to the bail supervisor, who I don't know if that's a civilian or police officer at the police reporting center. Yeah, I'm a little, I don't fucking know. Bail program, okay, hold on a second. Bail program said I wasn't amenable to them, but I'm already being sent to the Toronto Police Bail Reporting Center. He's like, yeah, he said he was going to lie to us to get released. What the fuck? I never said that. Why would I say that? Like, if you think I'm devious enough to just lie to you to make bail. So I know what it is. These people refuse to understand. They think when they're on the phone, it's a perfectly clear digital connection back and forth all the time. So if they talk over you, that means you stop talking. They don't believe. So any cordless phone, basically, or any speaker phone, there's noise canceling. So if the sound on this mic drops below a certain level, or if the sound on your mic goes above a certain level, my mic gets cut off completely. It's very simple. Zoom does the same thing. And these telephones, I think it's funny when people like, okay, you're a lawyer, you're learning to be a lawyer, whatever, you're volunteering, whatever, for the legal aid hotline, but you refuse to accept that the phone on the wall in the police station is busted. And so it's my fault that it's staticky. So you're going to talk down to me and judge me because you can't hear what I'm saying. But you understand, I wasn't there yesterday to smash the phone. I just got there. This is the phone they put me in front of. In fact, they didn't dial the number I asked for. They dialed your number. It's funny when 3 minutes in, you're like, yes, sir, can you call my lawyer? Oh, you have a lawyer? I said that 2 minutes ago, but you were. So I kept repeating, yeah, I have to go to the shelter and get the ticket to show you. I have to go to the shelter to get the ticket to show you I was there. Whatever. I've seen these before. It's a Salvation Army, whatever, like reserved one bed. It's like a location ticket. It's a cot ticket. This is how the real world works, eh? I don't care how much money you think you got stacked up on your coffee table. Cops could take that, or any nigga could take that in 1 second. So that's nothing. Or how much money you have in terms of you own your house, or this or that, or this or that. The government can still find a way to put you in a position like you don't even believe. Most people don't believe, but it literally. We were watching something about homelessness on TV. Me and my grandmother. My grandmother says, she said a bunch of things. She's like, everybody's one paycheck away from being homeless. Like everybody. If your paycheck don't come, you're basically in the same boat as a homeless person. Like, it don't matter if you did the work. They didn't pay you. Like, that's another thing. All this stolen money and stolen labor. Yeah.
Fact, I'm gonna tell you once and that's that. See you again on the mic if I give you.
Oh, and if you love irony, when I was so under the age of 16, the CAS kept refusing to like deal with me. And just after my 16th birthday, I started finding out what the law says and everything. Like, oh, they were required to help me. Oh yeah, but the time's past that now. It's like, yeah, but you had me out on the street when I was 15. What the fuck's this shit? When I got off the street, there were no what they call streets to. One of the companies is called Streets to Homes. The one here is called Pathways to Homes. It's not the same company. I thought it was the same one with a different name. Pathways to Homes, Streets to Homes, whatever. That shit didn't exist. As soon as I got off the street, they came out with this shit. I was like, I literally just got off the street. I'm in like a rooming house, a crack house. Like, can you people help me? And they're like, you're not homeless? No, we can't help you. When I applied for subsidized housing and shit, at the time, there was no priority category for 16 and 17-year-olds. And then I'm pretty sure for a while they made homeless people a priority category there, but now it's not. Or something, I could be wrong, but there's you get extra. You're supposed to get extra help if you're homeless, whatever. They didn't have that either. Right? It takes me forever to get into a proper apartment. Get all the way over to here. Find out the other day my application got canceled a long time ago because they didn't keep in touch with me or something. We're gonna deal with it. I updated my address. We're gonna bother them. No, check this out. When I was 13, I went from subsidized housing to the Children's Aid Society. I'm 38. I still have not gotten back into subsidized housing. So the one time my name popped up on the list was at Galloway. And the problem is I'd been off the street about 4 or 5, 5, 6 years. Let's say 5 years. And I was no longer, at the time, it didn't matter where I would have lived. You understand? Come off the street, live anywhere. What the fuck's the difference? But I had a life sort of set up in a way in a community. I was like, if I move all the way out to Galloway, it's just too damn far. I can handle gangs and all that shit. I ain't worried about that. The building is just a gigantic piece of concrete. It's like dark, great. Like the sun is shining on it, but the building is still dark. The superintendent, security guard, whatever he was that brought me around, we get in the elevator and he puts his key to lock it and bring us straight up to that floor. But he doesn't want nobody else getting on this elevator with us. This is before the Danzig Street shooting. Oh, Galloway! I almost ended up living there. I would have lived there. The apartment was the same fucking size. This is the fucking same goddamn apartment I would have had. It was up on the fucking 16th or 26th floor or some shit. This building is huge. It's like fucking, I don't know, more than 20 floors. I don't fucking remember. Yeah, so more irony of ironies. There's 5 or 6 companies, agencies that are operating in this building. I wasn't aware 2 years ago. They came out with this commercial rent subsidy. Now, don't get it twisted. I've been aware of a couple of different subsidies and shit that I never got contacted about, where they they'll subsidize your rent in a property that is not a rent geared to income property. But then it becomes one, doesn't it? Sort of. No, it stays with the private landlord. So they get the rent from you, and then they get a top up from the government, essentially. Similar to how HUD Section 8 in the U.S. works, but up here it's not like that. Up here our system's very different. It's very localized. There's Toronto community housing. It ain't got no connection to the subsidized housing wherever the fuck these other people from. So all these agencies in here that have been involved, some of them directly, indirectly, were trying to destroy my life. Because we'll go back one step further in a second too. Now that they're here, I'm getting shoved out because I'm paying $650, and they want somebody who's going to pay $900 plus a subsidy. And they want double the money, $975 plus the fucking or whatever, however that works. That's what they're attempting to do. These agencies got their start in this building with this whole in Vegas Sustaina thing. When they picked me up off the street, 21 days in or some shit before I get 20 days or something before I get my tribunal. The rights advisor didn't even know I was fucking there. So I don't know why they didn't tell me you were here. They should have told me a week ago you were here, at least. And they tell me this, so they make up all sorts of things. Like they've even got fake family histories on me. Like they got like, oh, this person had this disease and that person that's. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're mixing up the words maternal and paternal. So I'm just keeping my mouth shut because there's no point. They're like, oh, the reason there's 5 people here today instead of 3 is because we're training new people. It's like, oh, so they're all gonna vote in one direction. It's not 2 trainees, like guaranteed. These are random people from the community. They're allowed to accept hearsay. So the doctor's allowed to say that somebody told her that somebody else told them that they knew me and such a thing had happened. What the fuck are you talking about? That was them using me as a guinea pig for this program. Where did that incident happen? Up at the stop. Look at the sign up there. What are they connected to? Reconnect and Pathways to Homes. Right. Reconnect had me for a year on the fucking injection. $700 a month. They transferred my prescription to their own pharmacy in a different fucking city. Every time I come in there, the package is already open and the needles assembled. I'm like, you can't do that. I let them do it the one time, and after that, I was like, nope. They're opening the needle before I go in there. Like, what? What do you mean? What? They're trying to throw the box and the books in there. I've got 18 of them fucking things to prove I took them. Or I guess I got 16 of them. Problem with in Vegas is staying. One, it's a highly addictive synthetic, I don't know what you would call it, but for me, it acted a lot like a synthetic version of marijuana. You keep me in a room with no proper air, no running water, no heat for 26 days. And yeah, I'm taking the drug, just like anybody would. And it's apparently highly addictive because it's supposed to last a month, and it lasts about 3.5 weeks. Oh, that's fun. $700 a dose. I get $500 to live on. They get $700 to, think about that. You could have given me $350, keep $350 for yourself, and I would have been good. That would have helped my mental health a lot. That's $10 worth of weed every day, plus a half quarter at the end of the month. $350. That's right. 31 plus 40. Those companies are the ones that are in here now. And randomly, their tenants are the ones that have all these stories about me being from some other place and all this other shit. Throwing blood in my face and so forth. So my HIV and hepatitis C test came back negative. The thing with the hepatitis C, you can pop a lot of negatives in a row. I know somebody that did that. I've told that story. He infected 17 people while he was testing negative. Because in his day, getting tested at all was about as responsible as you could be. Getting clean needles was not that easy back then. These guys would go into the Shoppers Drug Mart with 30 cents and buy an insulin needle, and the pharmacist would just sell it to them. Because it's a clean needle. So who the fuck cares? Which is the same thing the city gives away or whatever. So people are always like, oh, you should make them give back one dirty needle to get back one clean needle. It's like, that doesn't help when there's 3 people sharing it. Stupid. And you can just go buy them. So that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So even if he did infect me or not, I'll never know for sure. And 33%, 1/3 of people with hepatitis B or C have no risk factors and don't know how they got it. It comes down to micro cuts in your skin. Every time you flex your skin, it opens up and closes again. But they're wounds that are so small, your nerve endings don't say, ow, that hurts, because it doesn't. So what that was intended to do was make me focus on them forever. That's why they kept making it impossible for me to get my blood test. In custody twice, they won't test my blood. In custody twice for a week each time, and they wouldn't test my blood. They'll pull bullets out of you and pull your teeth and everything at this facility if they have to. They won't give me a blood test. And them and the police, you can't get HIV except from blood-on-blood contact. That's not true, first of all. And second of all, with open wounds in your eyes, even your sinuses and stuff, those are open wounds. That's part of the reason I always cover my face, or I used to always wear the glasses, the safety glasses. This is the shit I've been through the last few years. Yeah, so so at the age 38, I'll probably be evicted again. Have to start. They're telling me I got to start my application over from the beginning for the city home. That's how long I've been at this. It was called City Home when I moved out, and when I tried to move back in, they'd already changed it. They changed the name 4 times since then.
They got it cheap and also let it go before go and blow up on the mic so tiptoe pop the stage. You'll blow me guy like menopause, get no applause. We all know so wrong the last.
National Fireworks Association is reminding you
My
to
clock
be a
says
good neighbor,
1946.
use fireworks safely and respect your community. Learn more at nationalfireworks.ca with a look at the forecast.
Well, how long ago did my clock freeze?
All right, 20 degrees overnight tonight. We are into the steady rain through tonight. It's about 15 to 25 millimeters by Saturday lunchtime. Now, most of Saturday will be on and off showers, but we will get into some nighttime storms and heavy downpours, especially off through the north of GTA. I'm putting in this the heaviest risk of these this rainfall north of Highway 7 late tomorrow.
You're putting it there,
humid X 37.
You're putting the risk
down to
there,
20 degrees. It's currently 22 degrees up here, Stan.
680 News Time, 5:03.
When they pulled this out of my pocket, I'm like, you're going to steal that on me. He's like, nah. It says police right on it.
In the killing of George Floyd.
6 Cities Michelle Mackey joins us live with
You gotta have a sense of humor with shit with these
Derek
assholes.
Chauvin has been sentenced to 22.5
Police
years
security.
in prison for the murder of George Floyd.
Okay.
The 45-year-old
That's old
will have to
news.
serve at least 2/3 of that sentence, or 15
So,
years.
in
mandated by the
2036,
state of
come back to us
Minnesota.
with this story,
Attorney
bitch.
Ben
I don't give a
Crump, the
fuck
lawyer
now.
for George Floyd's family, says this is the
What's
longest
Clayton
sentence
Rouge's
ever handed down
sentence?
to a
Oh,
police officer
motherfucker.
in the history of
What was
the
it,
state.
30 years from 2012? But they're trying to get it reduced to 20 or 25 or something? Doesn't sound like a lot. But
Person is killed by brutality by police.
will Clayton Rouge get out around before him?
Echoing that sentiment,
Am I saying his name right? There's a lot of these motherfuckers. I'm so sorry.
Justice is that they would have been doing this. Had they done sentences
All I know is this, sir. I don't know what it means.
Minnesota's Attorney General, meantime, says the outcome of the case is not enough and is calling on Congress to pass the strongest version of the George Floyd policing bill to help curb police brutality. Reporting live, I'm Michelle Mackey.
This is 680 News. Health Canada attempting to provide clarity
This is mad.
for partially and fully vaccinated Canadians over what they can and cannot do. Our agency out with a helpful, colorful infographic. You can find it at 680news.com. 680's Phil Martino joins us live.
I've seen infographics from these people that tell you you're supposed to get up as close as possible to the side of the truck and get in behind so the mirror can see you. It's like the mirror's pointed the other way. Stupid.
Small group of fully vaccinated individuals.
I swear to God, they had them all over every bus stop. This is how you're supposed to ride behind a truck. No, it's not.
If you have both shots, no mask or physical distancing.
Fucking
is
Olivia
necessary
Chow
when outdoor with
showing up and some girl got hit by one of these.
multiple
She pulled up behind the fucking truck like the sign said.
Like at a gathering with a group of friends or an outdoor wedding. Now, if you're unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, where do you fall? Well, public health advice is to continue to wear a mask.
Yeah, by the way, you've seen me wearing bandanas on my face long before this shit go on. It's basically because of acute chest syndrome and sickle cell. If you start talking shit to me about my mask being on my face, you've been told for years, keep 10 feet back from us, 3 meters. It's not a fucking joke. We don't want you near us because we can't breathe in your breath because our lungs melt and then we die. They don't have a bit of problem and then recover. Those cells are dead and have to be fucking coughed out like blood.
Charges after taking a video of the incident were all sentenced to 2 years probation. This teen will be sentenced in August. None of the boys can be identified because of provisions in the
first person they charged
Act.
was the victim. The second person they charged was the one who sent the video to the police.
The site of a record-setting vaccination clinic this weekend.
That's what happened.
25,000 appointments are booked to get COVID-19 shots into arms on
People
Sunday.
coming at me with knives, smashing on windows, getting blood everywhere. I'm the one on bail for that.
For most shots
Oh, the reason I did all that, because this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened. And we said, stop!
Transit and the TTC is offering free rides to anyone with proof of a vaccine appointment. In sports, Toronto Blue Jays
Everything that's happened has happened on video.
in a row tonight. They're taking on the Baltimore
When the
Orioles
cops see that I didn't do anything, they refuse to collect the video.
And Tampa Bay Lightning
This
will
has
face
been
the
happening
New York
since at
Islanders
least
in a
2012.
winner-take-all Game 7 of NHL playoff action, and will decide which team goes on to meet the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final. Listen to us anywhere. Download the Radio Player Canada app from iTunes or Google Play.
2007, the police notes are saying that this so-called victim witness is drunk, has no injuries. They ask her if she needs a doctor, she needs an ambulance, she needs to go to the hospital, like repeatedly. She's drinking while they're taking the report.
We could also see a thunderstorm tomorrow.
The cops that took the notes didn't think they were supposed to arrest me or something. This is a long
slightly warmer, reaching 27. And starting up early next week, scattered
When they pull me in, one of the
Monday
cops is at the back of the police station barbecue, and he starts flipping the fuck out because they arrested me.
Right now it's 20 degrees in downtown Toronto. I'm Brianna Carnegie. This is Global News Radio 640.
Now remember, I don't need to know who all of them are, but they know who the fuck my brother's mother is. It's not my fault. This better be good. I'm going to the beach. Sorry, I gotta get that out of my head.
416.
But my version of the 80s was better than yours.
SICKLY Show on Global News Radio 640 Toronto. All right, here we go. We're into hour 3
I
already.
gotta get a better set. I've been saying this for 2 years, 5 years, 8 years. I gotta set up
a lot
this.
to address when we come to our panel just moments away. John Turley Hewitt is going to be
If I
joining
can put this on this side, this looks wonderful.
some of
Nice
the stories
shelves, TV,
been
books,
prominent
radio,
this week in the
oh,
last
nice.
24,
You're looking at
48 hours.
what's usually behind me.
Situation from Saskatchewan and with Indigenous peoples. There's the COVID story, and there are other things too that really do merit some consideration here. I mean, honest to God, Canadians want to maintain restrictions. There's a number of polls that have come out saying that they're all in favor of that. The bulk of Canadians still want to maintain restrictions.
Because the bulk of Canadians got a basic biology education in fucking school and understand what's going on here.
Vaxxed, as well as which is completely vaxxed, and the single dose people. So, and now there's guidance too from the
See,
public
they
health
use the
agency
term
in Canada
vax
saying that,
and
you can
anti-vaxxer.
actually
Nobody that they
inside
identify as that
this
uses
law
those words. We don't know what they're
people
talking
double
about.
vaccinated and won't necessarily need a mask. Ooh, that's good. That's
So I've gone
progress.
from one level to the next.
maintain,
I'm no longer
you know,
labeled as being
okay, when I
against
say
this
we
or
ought to get to
that
step 3
because I've told them
sooner
what my
rather than
medical conditions are.
projected
Oh, he's one of them
21
half-breed
days
nigger lovers. Let it go.
You know, you've got places
He's
like
right
the UK
genetically,
and
but
Israel
he's
that
still
are
a half-breed
back,
nigger lover.
in certain instances, in I guess it's some parts of Australia too.
Some parts of
They've had
the Delta
issues
variant.
with the Delta variant. And
In
they say that
Australia.
because of these outbreaks,
If you follow the
they've got a
Facebook link
reverse
somewhere,
policy,
you
and
will
rather
find
than
those videos I
reopening,
keep
they're sort
sharing.
of putting more restrictions in
From,
place. If that's a practical consideration,
9
we'll hear about
News
it.
and
But you know, there's the other issue. Of kids needing to be
ABC, but it's
vaccinated before they
Australian
return to
Broadcast
school.
Corp, but it's still
Some
called
people are
ABC.
flagging that as to whether or not it's something that ought to be mandated because kids being vaccinated, not every parent
You
is
can
really
look up
on
9
side for
News
that.
Melbourne,
You know,
9
the tender
News
age of 12, 13, 14. These are the 12 to 17-year-old cohort,
had the
but
name in my head,
it's
too.
not something that every parent would be in favor of. As I explained yesterday, we'll get back into it with our panel. When it comes to young students, though, this is one of my
The
favorite
vaccinologists
stories.
have said there's
There's
no
a
reason to
young lady
vaccinate children. There's literally no
and she
reason. It's not even like
graduated
somehow they
UT
could spread it to somebody else
at
to
the
make a big
tender
problem.
age
It's
of
not like
16.
that.
She actually began her post-secondary education at the age of 12.
Oh, for fuck. Yeah,
This is
technically
living
we all started in kindergarten.
And she was 12 years of age on a university campus. And she said, no, everything was normal, except for the fact I didn't go to the bars, didn't attend any of these drinking parties, and I can't drive.
Those students, most of those kids can't afford a car anyway.
Experience, isn't it? Pretty much. But
She went to a
the
rich kid's
social
school.
aspect was something that a lot of people who were accelerating her process,
care.
well, she was mostly driving that particular
My
bus, but
clock is fucked, so.
they weren't really keen on it.
That one,
There
yeah.
was some resistance for the fact that she may not have been adequately socialized or wasn't in a social setting that was conducive to
How do you think
her
she
own
got to that
pace,
level of
but
grade 12?
She put a light
At,
on all that and
age.
graduated, as I say, at 16. In
Grade
fact,
12
in her own
is-
words, she says, sometimes I myself forget what age I am. I think if you looked at it from a perspective where you
Age
didn't
ain't
know
nothing
my
but a
age, you
number.
probably wouldn't be able to tell that I was any different. And so maybe she's an older soul. But it's funny because she already had
That
a
was
mindset
very
on
creepy
getting
what he just said
fast-tracked
there.
when she was in grade
When
2.
they had that,
And she wanted to skip a grade.
it's
Initially,
thought
she
out.
was in
It's
PEI
planned.
at
See
the
how I
time,
just
living
did it?
there.
He just did
There
it the
was some
exact same way.
resistance as far as that was concerned. Then everybody said, well, one skipped grade.
Yeah, an
Karen,
older
so let's put her
soul.
in 3.
In your mind, you're
And
focused
then,
on
of
her
course,
being
when
12.
she was in 5, she went to grade 6. So she's moving ahead in the food chain. And the school in PEI was resistant
see how
to this,
his
as I said, so we
mind
started
works?
to shop around for a school that might accommodate her development. And they found a private school in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, that first of all tested her to see if, would grade 6 be adequate? And the response came back saying, actually, we think grade 8 would be more appropriate. So here she is.
It's
She's a
funny, 'cause in grade
preteen,
8,
and,
all we did, they
she's
told
already
us
chugging through.
they're just giving us all the same
she's
work
just
for
a
grade
child at
9.
this
They're just
point.
passing
She
us all
jumped
this.
through
The
high
same
school
thing in grade 7. In
in a
grade 7, the
couple of
work was from
2
grade
years.
6. Grade 6 was my
And so,
first year in
she
English.
attended initially the
Grade 6,
University
7,
of
8, and 9 were
Island in
exactly the same.
Charlottetown, then transferred to the U of T.
I'm not joking.
What I found particularly interesting with this is that her grandmother, who actually taught middle school, high school, and some
One of my
university
aunts
courses,
is
was
social
really
services type work on one mom was a
instrumental in
teacher.
preparing
I
her
told
for
them that. They
academia,
didn't have a response for me.
and said as much. She said she passed on life lessons, quote, the way Asian parents do. End
Whoa!
quote. And I went, bingo.
So I'm popping these caffeine pills and smoking weed like it's my oxygen. Oh geez, I think these cops need a reality check cause they be blowing steam. Like bitch, please come off of it. Your jaw gonna get robbed when you stay up against me. You just better than I'm just better kid. I'm just better bitch. You should just I'm just better bitch. And I'm about to say all this. I'm just better bitch. You should just I'm just better bitch. And I'm about to say all this. This is your cue to get the X ready. Yeah, bitch, please sit. It's lucky. I'll run around marathon like I was asleep. Yourself and about a bit too much. So lockjaw gonna become a problem when you can't open your mouth up. I demolish anyone who wanna fuck with Mackie, man. Y'all just fucking kids. I'm learning y'all to listen, plan, take those hoes. It's time to listen in. And your girlfriend, I'm attracting that. She added me to Snapchat and I added her right back. And in legit point two, she's not me a new dude, and I can prove it too. Cause I screenshotted that and I sent it to porn too. Just kidding. I'm not an asshole, but that ass should not confuse. I'm onto you, you simple fool. Just clicking on for the bigger dudes. You're just gonna do what they're gonna do too, so you should just settle in.
So because my clock here is frozen, I'm a little off. This one's supposed to have a watch, yeah? This is from the church we don't get to go to anymore. I told you motherfuckers, you won't fucking behave. They're not closed by rote, like they have to be closed. They're closed because they know they can't stay open and manage all the fucking bullshit they're gonna have to put up with from you idiots. I've watched them get stricter and stricter over the years in this place. Like in a preemptive way, like preventing problems. You'll notice people talk all the way through this shit while she's singing this, or when there's another one where the pastor's talking. It's the same shit. They talk all the way through, like I'm doing. But the difference is the recording. Next time you can hear it yourself without me talking. If you go down here. It's recorded on this, eh? It's the fucking cleanest fucking microphone. You give it the motor oil, damn it. So the last like 8 knives I've owned in my life, the police have taken away from me and never given back. Why don't I make the argument that it's a sacred ceremonial thing or something? Because it usually says made in China or some shit on it. And I gotta find a way to cut open that pepper with a knife. I got a bunch of plastic ones, but I got a couple that are bad. You know them plastic, every so often you come across a plastic knife that fucking cuts your hand open. You're like, what the fuck? I'm gonna grow them peppers. I've done it before, but I think the mice fucked it up. Digging up all my shit. Ow. if I was having a phone conversation, these people are 20, 30 feet away from me, 50 feet away from me talking. That's how clear that mic is. So I don't know, this one sucks, but I can hear perfectly clearly all these people's voices. There's gruesome discovery they haven't spoken about in the last hour.
I just came up flexing, jugging and finessing. I come from the West End. I was broke, I got it back, I made it flip, and now I'm up again. I just came up flexing, jugging and finessing. I come from the West End. I was broke, I got it back, I made it flip, and now I'm up again. When I'm on my shit, I look like a brick. North of the Rex, where I grew up.
No company name.
Just to get the door for that raid. Every shorty's dream to get paid. Lost it all like Nietzsche, I did not complain. Waited for my father right after the rain. Came from public housing. One time for niggas putting work and bringing large amounts in. In a crack pot till the shit. Back it up, quarter
What the fucked up part is, my ass didn't touch the floor just now.
Pretty in the old clock, treat you like a comfortable, open up your whole top. Bitches can't front on the kid now. I guess down, used to rock the same clothes all week and get clown. Now they treat a nigga like cold. Bitches get down. I just want a top, baby girl. Don't pull your shit down. I just came up flexing, jugging and finessing. I come from the West End. I was broke, I got it back, I made it flip, and now I'm up again. I just came up flexing, jugging and finessing. I come from
it's a bike cop.
I was broke, I got it back, I made it flip, and now I'm up again.
I just came up flexing, jugging and finessing. Shout out to the West End. I'm a
you do some dumb things, Brendan, so I don't think I can listen to you and get high at the same time. Was he the worst police chase in the world? you want to see the worst, if you want to see the worst police chase in the world.
Yeah, shot up him and DJ's pod 2, but 1995, you know what I'm saying? I'm finna keep some French style bum, you know what I'm saying? Kicking it with my nigga MC Spade, Mr. K, Lil West, you know what I'm saying? We finna bum like this here, so check it out.
Buster Ken step to MC Spade, but don't understand. Pimpin' from the south, deeply rooted with a master plan. Punk motherfuckers try my patience, but don't know what's up. Grab the grenade, pop the pin, blow them hoes up. Making sure I'm leaving all them motherfuckers in the ditch. Let them know that MC Spade ain't to be fucked with. I be coming hard for you niggas who didn't know I could reach for your 9 play dumb nigga. I wish you would, cause I'm finna hit you in your chest and knock the wind out. Say something smart and I'ma have to take your ass out. With the nigga 9 on my fucking hip. Reach for my left, grab my clip, cause I can't slip.
Smoking on some thing while I sip on the plane of yak with my niggas eyes hell up.
Some of you, if you're tuned in, you'll notice all the meals I get up at the one place, the Jamaican guy that I make, all the ingredients I got here are the same basic shit that I could make like a little miniature version of that if I was really with it, because there was other stuff too I didn't take with me. There was a eggplant and potatoes and some other stuff, rice, ground beef, onions, the fuck else was there? A whole bunch of shit. They gave me like an arugula salad too. There was other stuff that I didn't take with me. There's someone with sickle cell, someone in Micmac was thinking it'd make more sense for me to scatter the seeds somewhere nearby than for me to walk all the way out and get the salad and come back. Take more energy than I'm going to get from it, me personally.
Blowing AC while I'm cheating, man. Bitches looking at me cause they know a nigga bad clean. And they couldn't strike.
I mean, the people that do eat that, that's all they do eat, so we just give it to them to look like they're starving.
They looking at me like they mean, but I got that 4-pack lock.
I can't believe I didn't hit the floor.
Buster ass nigga thinking he be.
Track memory on the beach, lighting cocoa busting downtown, belly of the beast, getting worked by the brick and selling by the piece. I got foot soldiers, I ain't sweating the police, I made him killing off a crack in the 80s. Let me tell you how I did it. I got a group of homies that was down with it. He started small ops with consigned critics, had a strap by the ditty, I had to live with it. Hand-to-hand exchanges with strangers before gangbangers started taxing the street corner hustle. It was less dangerous. My skill named Price, but money came nameless. We took coke and turned it to something more famous with free basic king plugging. All kinds of shit coming, gold chains to tape decks, TVs to dick sucking. Supply and demand, the people meant nothing. If it wasn't me, it would have been the next man hustling.
What type of drugs do you do? I probably served you. The daddy and your mama that birthed you. I'm on the grind from morning to past curfew. With a decade of dope, I'm here to mind swerve you. Whether it's a kilogram, take a pillow slam. You can call me the dealer, man. I serve the streets cause I put the candy in your hand. In a decade of dope, I'm your pusher, man.
You are a late 70s baby, so I was raised in the 80s. You're my favorite phrase, fuck you, didn't pay me. You are first learned how to lace a J before I weigh 80 pounds. Now I drop them, but ain't starving in Haiti. You're smoking weed and hashish is something real ancient. Assassins used to get high before he was slain. Yo, these rappers kinda influenced me to start blazing. What I'm saying, my dad's wailing, getting high in the basement. Yo, I know they used to pump heavy back in the 60s, but who was smoking kush with the doors at the whiskey? And I ain't hell by getting hit by Mrs. Lewinsky, but we live in hell, so I smoke to understand the mysteries. Indigenous in me, sip peyote in the tea, eating mushrooms, blowing breeze, living nature with the trees.
Right, I got mushrooms.
Made me wanna kill a man. Red corn and ghost face made me go and sniff some grams.
They're horrible. That's why I don't do them too often.
I probably served you. The daddy and your mama that birthed you. I'm on the grind from morning to past curfew. With a decade of dope, I'm here to mind swerve you. Whether it's a kilogram, take a pillow slam. You can call me the dealer, man. I serve the streets cause I put the candy in your hand. In the decade of dope, I'm your pusher, man.
You need a bunch of like Afro-Dutch Jamaican Micmacs to go down to where that condo collapsed. We get all that shit. It's like Jenga. You don't fucking go digging in from the side. The fuck is wrong with you? We're gonna hack or slash our way in. Every little vibration you do at one end could have 1,000-pound piece of concrete or 1,000 tons landed on somebody's head that might have otherwise lived. You fucking pull the shit off the top with the least amount of movement possible. Is what they call that, pickup sticks. Just pickup sticks in fucking Jenga. You people didn't play the right games as kids. You really didn't. What if there's a gas line in there somewhere you don't know about that's pinched shut right now, and as soon as something moves, it starts leaking? Oh, they don't got gas in Florida? I don't fucking know. And there's too much sand in the concrete, guarantee. Those buildings are built with a huge safety factor. It's almost physically impossible to overload the structure of these buildings if they're built to at least the bare minimum code. I watched them build this place. I know how many shortcuts they took, but I still know it won't fall down. I criticized it that they poured the concrete in the winter and all this shit because it doesn't make sense to me. Because to them, if the building lasts 100 years, that's as good as they need. These buildings could last hundreds of fucking years if you put it together properly in the first place. The Bin Laden construction group is notorious for putting too much sand in the concrete, so the buildings fall down, so they get paid to come back and fix it up again, over and over and over and over. And people die all over the fucking world because of that specific company, that group. Yeah, you can laugh at this. They showed us on G.I. Joe in the 80s when we were kids in the cartoons. You don't put the force at the top of the building if you want to knock a building down. You put it right at the base and you'll knock the whole building down. Yeah, so an airplane hitting the top of a building, it's going to do this. Every time. That's all it'll do. Concrete flexes a lot. And the combination of putting a steel frame coated in concrete, that makes both incredibly straight. It makes the most of the best of both elements. And the concrete protects the steel, and the steel makes the concrete more, I don't know how to phrase it, like resilient, flexible. And let me give you a lesson. Got so much anger inside. It's like I'm constantly stressing. Head is holding with power. I can't find the source. One rage of the serial killer who shows no remorse.
My Caribbean parents, we immigrated here from Jamaica to have a better life, and my parents were all about excellence in education, and I know that that's not unusual. So it's, parents want to see their kids do well, and they want them to pursue education. This young woman, I just looked into her story, started in grade 2 to demand her opportunities to skip grades and to accelerate her education. And she seems to have flourished.
In grade 1, they told me some shit about being at a grade 3 level, and then they never did anything about it.
Her age was not.
That's just the first time that happened, was in grade 1. So fuck your grade 2 shit.
Most of her education was done in a public system, and it's something that we should value. I think this is a great story.
It's a great story, but you did say you don't believe it's culturally specific. That's the essence of my question as to whether or not it may be, because she brought it up herself. John, do you think it is?
I think that, based on my experience at university, John, and going through the whole public education system in Ontario that Ms. Hunter was talking about, is that, you have families that come from backgrounds where reading is very important, where mathematics is very important, where accounting is very important. And they try to convey that to their children.
Engineering, virology, medical, technical shit.
Specific cultures is you start getting into questions of which cultures don't do it, right? And so I think that's the elephant in the room, John, around your question.
No, see, that's how you have to frame it. What the white guy just say? Well, as soon as you start looking at what people are good at, you're actually being more racist because you're bringing attention to what they're not good at. You see what he just fucking did? fucking bootlicking piece of shit.
Is really being able to help them learn if they haven't gone to school themselves very long. Meaning, for example, if they just got through high school or they didn't get through high school and they want their kids to get to university.
He's again putting it on the individuals like they didn't apply themselves. The question was, what are we going to do about systemic racism? You again put it back on the individual that they didn't apply themselves. That's what I got told in my very first fucking year in English in grade 6. You're not applying yourself. Applying myself. Are you on fucking drugs? And remember, the reading tests and shit they did in grade 1 for me were in French. They weren't in English. My family didn't do the work for me. Not even possible. And you love telling us we're noting things wrong or we decapitalize the wrong things, whatever. It's like, no, the conventions in French are different than the ones in English. Ugh. Oh.
Michelle Mackey. 6:80 is time, 5:34. There today from the federal government, Health Canada releasing official guidance for people
for fuck's sakes. Okay. Yeah, we've heard that. We heard you. So now they're going to be getting in my face about why I'm wearing a mask. Are you fucking stupid? No, that's when white girls that are overstepping their bounds, and the white boy says, just leave them alone. Shut up. At 3 in the morning on Toronto streets, we could meet stupidly. I give a fuck. I didn't want them all wearing black. I didn't want them all wearing yellow vests. I said orange. Told you it happened. You people shouldn't fuck with me. You don't listen. Red, black and blue, and black and orange, black and red, black and white. Should I keep going? There were the 8 color combinations on that fucking sweater you bastards took. It's okay, I took 1,000 photos. That's why I do this shit. I know somebody's gonna steal my shit. Notice the word on the top of the thing's written upside down. It's not an M, it's a W because it's upside. Why is it upside down on the front where you're going to see it? Right. It should be right side up on the front and upside down on the back. Right. Okay. You don't listen to nothing. Yeah, every chance they get to destroy my clothes or stealing my shit. I'm just dealing with my boys and I get it. I'm just dealing with my boys and I get it. I'm just dealing with my boys and I get it.
Yeah, I got this new joint right here. It's by my man Son Caesar of Onyx, featuring Stephen King.
Aladdin, World Domination Recordings, 1998.
man, I'm down.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I can't open up the computer to compare it. I got the CD here. I don't know what these are. Apricots or some shit. I don't know who started that
The demon is a liar. He would like to confuse us. But he will also mix lies with the truth to attack us. He attacks us psychologically, but powerful is a mixer. Remember that. Do not
This is real life shit, can't change it for an instant. Blood, sweat, and tears, now everyone's against it. Trying to step in our way, man, your ass will get popped. Got homies on every corner, none afraid to get shot. You hear it drop. Here comes the end of your life. Hollow points cutting through you like the edge of a knife. It's getting harder to see. Step away from the light.
This pussy called the cops on me because he pulled a gun on me and I didn't. This pussy called the cops on me because he pulled a gun on me and I didn't get scared and run away or something, making up some story about me pulling a knife on him. That's convenient. Ugh. Yeah, you're a bootlicking piece of shit too. Fucking race traders keep coming at me. I don't know where the fuck you people come from. There's a lot of you.
Why don't you come around here and I'll make you feel right at home? From the couch to the floor, we'll be in the zone. Let's get it on till the dawn arises. Kissing in the mist.
There's a whole bunch of kids kidnapped in Nigeria by a bunch of lunatics.
Breakfast in bed is something I can do for you. Eat your mangoes from the tip of my tongue, and I can get it done. So baby, give me some, and I can give you some, and we can go from there. Keep it PG, but you see what I mean. Let's go for a walk, and let me walk and trail and watch the sunset as the moon is on the wheels. Get rocked by the river and sit on the beach. Quiet times in the city can never be beat. So baby, you can do your thing. And I can do my thing, the we can do my thing. Say, baby, you can do your thing, so do your thing. And I can do my thing, the we can do our thing. It's showtime, your time to shine. Escalating at a pace, got no time to be blind. I get it, got it good, you're doing what you shouldn't. Let me tell you, you ain't misunderstood. I'm doing my thing, and you're doing yours. Making life happen and dreaming of the goals. You're dreaming of me, and I'm dreaming world tours. And I think it's very sexy when you show.
I've been on the come up right now, yeah, they know my name. There ain't no comparing me to you, and we are not the same. I've been getting money, yes, I'm blowing up, I'm overpaid. One thing that I wanna say, I know that's the only way. Yeah, I gotta get it, now I gotta go, I gotta get away. Run it up, I roll another, see me out of sip and drink. If you're really feeling this, then I don't wanna hear a thing. Look at what it done, look at everything it did today. I remember back when we never went out in a play. Janet only goes to show I'm living at the renovate. First I'm elevated to opinions are irrelevant. It's different now, but it ain't cause I do it for the relevant. The moment so intelligent, I look at what I represent. The best of that I've ever been, and that's how that shit is. Killing them, I'm on a rise, I'm telling. When the rest is in development, I'm finna get my element. They see me tripping, and they know that I drop it. If you know I did it, then I know you never
What you know about it, everybody talking about it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. And they see me tripping and they know that I drop it. If you know I did it, then I know you never doubt it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. Yeah, this is
So creative.
One day, what I'll be a man. They're
so creative. They're like the most original pedophile ever, buddy.
Let me do something that they never said. But back in the days, and I'm all on top, never catching the case. No rapping the waist, but the facts of the page, to the back from the place. I'm dragging the tape, and I'm all right now. Y'all glad of the game, new chapter today. That's after the fact that they asked me to change from the first, with the grab, and a half of the game. Never last no late. Now I've been a blower, like my notifications. You notice, yeah, you know I made it. Never played up for patience. I know I'm your favorite, been over back. I'm waiting for the day of finally famous. Now I'm feeling forsaken, so alleviated. I didn't see me tripping, and they know that I'm dropping it. If you know I did it, then I know you never got it. What you know about it,
So I'm not interacting with it at all. It's just clicking what it wants, turning the music on and off. Go for it. Do your thing, stupid. Wave that pedophile flag high, buddy. We know where you got that software.
Spence, Madison, Vaughn, Scarborough, and Mississauga. Back to the panel in a moment. Right now to the roads, at a check the chopper traffic, Ari Rabinovich.
Everything I did before, you know that I'm original. I never wanted nothing more, there ain't nothing additional. They not been unpredictable, I'm miserable, not pitiful. Forget it though, I'm feeling shut the principle. Consider it opinion if it's critical. A single of a syllable to symbolize a visual applicable to get it. So now they see me tripping and they know that I drop it. If you know I did it, then I know you never doubt it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. Yeah, now they see me tripping and they know that I drop it. If you know I did it, then I know you never doubt it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. What you know about it, everybody talking about it. Yeah.
Premium Brands Inc. Yeah, I think this is Ocean Brands. We may or may not own this. But you see the world a bit differently when you actually own big things, eh?
Welcome to Mi'kmaq Matters, a podcast about Mi'kmaq people, politics, land of water.
You guys catch fish?
Glenn Wheeler.
Here we go fishing.
Support independent Mi'kmaq media. Become a patron at patreon.com/Mi'kmaq Matters. Or if you prefer, you can send us an email transfer at mi'kmaq.matters@gmail.com. One of the great unknowns about Indigenous history on the island of so-called Newfoundland is whether Mi'kmaq are related to the Beothuk people. There is anecdotal evidence that we are. Certainly the two groups shared the same territory at the same time, and people being people, we might expect that there would be.
Where do you think all these nasty little kids come from that don't look like either one?
The two groups.
Keep telling you we're both. You keep telling us we don't look like either one. Yeah, we know, stupid.
Scientific order that now prevails, and the Beothuk Mi'kmaq link has remained a question mark. That could soon change.
Fuck you. By the way, this is an old episode. It's been confirmed.
Genomics Incorporated,
DNA.
based in St. John's, will explore the possible genetic links between Beothuk and Mi'kmaq. The study is made possible by a $30,000 grant from National Geographic. It is open to members of the Neobigeg First Nation only. Steve Carr is the president of Terra Nova Genomics. I spoke with him about the company, the study, and the possible implications of the study results.
Terra Nova Genomics was originally organized to provide forensic identification of wildlife materials, and that would be,
that's me.
For example, if someone
what is
caught some birds and we suspected that an enforcement agency suspected that they were migratory birds, we could do an identification of species, and then that would result in a court case. In other cases, I think there was a murder of someone, or someone had gone missing. It was suspected that they had been murdered. The RCMP found blood spore in the area, and
to hang in for the 6 years requisite to gather a pension of $32,000 a year. Let me ask you about that one, first of all, Mitzi. I mean,
I don't really have an opinion yet, because I'm not 100% sure what just happened.
To resign. She's been deemed to be, by no less than Jody Wilson-Raybould, racist and misogynistic in her interpretation. The dog whistle being that somehow Indigenous people only care about money. What say you to that response from Carolyn Bennett?
No, I don't think she should resign. I think her comment was inappropriate and she shouldn't have done it, and she certainly has said that. I think that, you know, everyone is now starting to get into election mode, so there's a lot of sensitivities. The issue,
like the other 3 years are in election mode.
Our past and Indigenous people
number one.
And the relationship is deeper. I think it's deeper than what John just said about it being, you know, any party. It is a collective shame, and it's one in which we need to confront today, and we need to make have amends made to Indigenous people. We need to reconcile, and it goes deep. It goes to the colonial past of trying to erase Indigenous people and separate them from their culture. And so, you know, it's a shameful past. And we have
Meaning
to
either literally kill us off or make it so none of us knows. You have the DNA, but you otherwise don't even know what you are to care about the environment.
We have to reconcile, and we have to deal with it today. You know, and I think, you know, inviting the Pope to come to Canada to apologize is simply, it's a gesture.
We're going to stop him at the door. He's coming on a boat, right?
But, you know, the churches who ran facilities on behalf of government do need to have and bear some responsibility for the reconciliation, even if it is acknowledging that what has happened and putting any records and proof there so that, you know, people can be at rest in terms of what has happened.
John's point is well taken. I mean, that's only half of the loaf you're talking about here. If it's the church who are going to be blamed for complicity and not without cause or merit, the Liberal governments of Mackenzie King, going back to Laurier, E.R. Elliott Trudeau, Jean Chrétien. I mean, how come nobody's focusing on them, Mitzi?
Yeah, I don't believe it is any one government. I believe it was a system and a way that we had here in Canada that
the students are mad enough to tear down statues and take the head.
Still having ramifications today, and we have to own that. It is a shameful past. We have to own it, and we have to, you know, take the steps forward in terms of reconciliation. And those steps have been outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Indian Capital Trust account, Supreme Court ruling, reassign the trustees of our choice.
Then nothing happened for that call to action.
$2 trillion Canadian
You
dollars.
know, Mr. Trudeau's been in power for many years now, and have we seen him act on that report? I don't think we've really seen him act on that report. I think if you ask
on each of our heads.
Indigenous people in Canada, if Mr. Trudeau has acted on that report, the answer would be no. And so, you know, this is one of the reasons I raised the part about, you know, the Liberal Party of Canada being, you know, they've got to reconcile. They've got to come to terms with what they've done. You know, and if they want to form the next government, if there's going to be an election that you mentioned, you know, the Liberal Party should be, you know, so invested in the reconciliation and following the recommendations in the Truth and Reconciliation report, not getting more reports, but that information is there, and start acting on it now. I think
Justin Trudeau, put on your cape and become reconciliation man.
Information we already have, and you know, the grandstanding, the virtue signaling, all of that doesn't solve the problems or end boil water advisories in our First Nation communities.
Right, and
You
the
can't boil
vilification to
mercury
me
out of the
is
water.
incomplete. If you're really going to be comprehensive, then you've got to turn every stone over. That's suggesting, that as equally complicit with the Catholic Church or the orders that administered these schools. It was a government directive and had been for over 100+ years. So, that's really, if reconciliation to be authentic, has to address that as well, those aspects, rather than some blanket statement, as you say, John, that, hey, we all ought to be contrite and wear the hair. Well, no, it was direct, specific governments, and they got to carry the can on this. The other thing I'm kind of curious about, Mitzi, I mean, some are saying Canada Day, it's looming, ought not to be a day of joyful celebration, the rah-rah thing. Instead,
this is
all about
ridiculous.
remorse and repentance. The flag is highly symbolic. Right now,
What's
it's
wrong with a tin
staff
can
on
with
part
a
of the
pull
hill. Do you
tab?
think it ought to maintain
There's more
its
aluminum in
half-staff stature, or
this.
do you think it ought to fly high on Canada Day?
Well, Canada Day means a lot of
90
things
grams,
for
minus
Canadians,
what gets stuck in the bottom.
recognizing the new nation that was born in 1867. So it definitely
Our consul has been here since 1864.
Celebrating. At the same time, look what we're unearthing. Look at mass graves of children. This is something that we have to reflect on this Canada Day, not put it aside, but actually reflect on it. And
Just saying, as a symbolic thing, though, what about the flag as a symbolic thing? Now, I get it, reflection. A lot of people are going to be wearing orange shirts, which are highly symbolic as well. Won't tell you the details unless you already know. But so the flag itself, though, what do we do with that?
It goes back to when they tried to kill off the people in the Netherlands through starvation diets that they studied from what the Catholic Church did to residential school children before the 1940s. That is a fact.
Children, and
that's why they flipped out about this Indian kid having an orange shirt.
I am respectful of the Canadian flag. I'm grateful to this great nation that I am someone who emigrated to this country, and I'm very grateful for Canada. At the same time, John, there's a lot that has to be acknowledged, and I don't see anything wrong with doing both. Recognizing and celebrating our country and acknowledging some of the things that have happened in the past that are still having ramifications.
I'm still not clear on the answer.
I mean, to Indigenous people.
She answered you. She said she won't disrespect the flag.
Well,
That's what
right
she
now,
said.
I think that having the flag fly respectfully at half-mast, there's a lot that has happened that has shaken us. Look at what happened in London when it comes to Islamophobia and the act that happened there. We just
Canada Day. I guess this is why I'm saying, it's a unique set of circumstances. I just want to know
stabbing him right out front of the fucking
where you
mosque.
stand on this.
Oh
You're
man,
telling me
standing there, walk up and stab
I
him.
would be fine to be a nation that is in mourning for the graves that have been unearthed right now. As we speak, it is a collective shame, and I think that we can stand united together and reflect on that. I don't see that as diminishing our love of country at all.
All right. Well, I don't.
I'm claiming American citizenship till you can prove to me your country exists. My birth certificate don't say Canada; it says Ontario. What the fuck is Canada?
Well, there's something else that's kind of curious to me, and it may be damaging to the Liberals, or again, it's just too much inside baseball to register with most Canadians. It has to do with
I may have lost you on
two scientists at that Winnipeg lab who were frog marched out of there by CSIS, and there's some kind of duplicity at play here, or that's the intimation anyway, that, they might have been working with the communist Chinese regime. John Turley, the Liberals don't want to be forthcoming on this. They're being pressed, or were, while the House of Commons was still standing. It's shut down as of Wednesday. But do you think there's this appearance of a cover-up, because they've even, the opposition has threatened to sue and to get the documents that the Liberals are keeping under wraps here as to what went down? Or do you think it's a national security, a public security issue that they can't be as forthcoming as we'd like them to be?
My guess is it's a mix of both.
I'm pretty sure that's
I have no doubt that this is a tremendous embarrassment to not just the federal government, but also to our security intelligence forces, which are supposed to be watching out for this sort of thing.
Do you get your ginger soaked in aspartame from China?
Information that would not be that sensitive that we could, allow Parliament to see. But it would be very embarrassing against the Liberal government going into what looks like a fall election. So I think we have a mix of things here, and the Liberals, fearing obviously for their political lives, would like to keep the whole thing under wraps. I mean, frankly, the concern is it just undermines the whole due process of Parliament, and it's outrageous the way the Liberal
Indian
government
Capital Trust accounts,
really,
$1 million bounty on each of our heads, $2 trillion.
Parliament, respect for Parliament. And, something like this, I would hope they would go to the leader of the opposition and have a conversation about. This would be what mature democracies do, about what we can and cannot release for security reasons, and then decide on what they can do and then release information that they can. Instead of having this, partisan stuff going back and forth. That's not how mature democracies and countries that work, deal with these kinds of issues.
You think Canadians are even paying attention or care about this? As I said, is it too much inside baseball?
John, people want to get back to work. They want to get out. There's almost everyone's had one dose. 25, 30% of us had double doses. We want to get our masks off. We want to start partying. We're not interested in this kind of stuff in any kind of detail.
So Mitzi, last question to John's point. This is what Dr. Tam was saying.
They see people coming and they didn't have it on. They
generally
generally put it on.
We now need to reach 80% before restrictions can be lifted. She cited
a lot of people are trying to do their best
in other precincts.
All the idiots seem to have died off.
Mandates being reinstituted in some cases in Israel. The UK has continued with restrictions rather than lifting them. Do you think 80% is an appropriate double vaccinations for all at 80%? Is that the new benchmark?
We got to listen to the science, and there is a resurgence in places like Israel that have high vaccination rates. They're putting the mask back on. So let's go cautiously, keep our masks on, and get rid of this virus for good. And I know we're about to go, but I do want to acknowledge the sentencing of Derek Chauvin today has set a historic precedent in the United States, 22 and a half years for the murder of George Floyd.
25, and you know
it's a small step towards justice in the United States.
You got 10% off. You got the 10% white man discount.
You got 22 and a half years. Mitzi Hunter, many thanks. John Turley, ditto. We're done for the day and the week. Another great one for Talk Radio. Thank you to Michael Downey, producer, Loretta Milnovich, technical operator. Always the best.
Oh, you didn't have the 8 minutes of commercials at the end of the show.
Stay away. Have a great weekend. Back Monday after 3. Have a good night. Go have
Pandemic pen pals. COVID-19 has forced many changes on us. And now 2 different generations are coming together thanks to an old school form of communication.
This is Global Toronto. Global News at 6 starts right now.
As Canada Day draws near, a growing number of people and municipalities are calling for a pause of celebrations. That's because of the hundreds of unmarked Indigenous children's graves discovered outside of former residential schools. And some municipalities have indeed already canceled celebrations. More on the story from Mark Carcasole.
Me as an Indigenous First Nation, what do I have to celebrate?
With almost 1,000 children's bodies found in unmarked burial sites at former residential schools in BC and Saskatchewan, expected to be just the tip of the iceberg marking one of Canada's deepest scars, Indigenous leaders say this July 1st should not be business as usual.
We really encourage the government of Canada to postpone July 1st celebrations. And
oh, I know who we could be. We could be the ugly Canadians.
The call to cancel Canada Day is a cry for justice, not just for mistakes past, but failures present.
And it hasn't changed yet. There are more children in foster care in Canada today than there were in residential schools. We have the highest suicide rate amongst children in the whole country today. Today, our people in the north can't get fresh drinking water.
Many Canadian municipalities have canceled in-person traditional Canada Day celebrations, citing the pandemic, but will go ahead with virtual celebrations on July 1st. But a growing number across the country have taken the step of foregoing the celebration of Canada's birthday for the year. In BC, Victoria, Penticton, Kelowna, and Port Hardy have canceled celebrations. Surrey says it will hold a virtual ceremony honoring Indigenous culture. In Saskatchewan, the mayors of Air Ronge and Lac La Ronge made the same decision.
if we don't take that moment to really acknowledge the injustices and the atrocities that have happened, I don't think that we can truly grow as true Canadians.
In Ontario, Wilmot, Prince Edward County, Belleville, and Pickering have all chosen to take a pass to honor Truth and Reconciliation this year, and several cities in New Brunswick have chosen to do the same. But while individual cities are taking their own stands, the Prime Minister calls for a day of celebration and reflection.
I think we all need to pledge ourselves to doing what we can to continue that effort to make Canada better, all the while respecting.
Do you understand the type of thoughts running through my head? You're telling me to go ahead and do them? You're out of your fucking mind, buddy. Just like people running trucks up in your front gate. Why you live in the back house when you got on your camera? What the fuck's the deal with that?
It's just going to get worse. Work with us, Trudeau. Work with us.
No, you can't.
Canada, I don't think we're asking for anything outrageous here. It's a day of mourning. We need to do that.
And we are here at Queen's Park, where on the front steps there is a memorial of shoes dedicated to those children whose bodies were found in unmarked burial sites at various residential schools. More expected to come. And here at Queen's Park is where demonstrators with the Idle No More movement are planning their own set of protests. One of them right here on July 1st. They will do a sit-in outside the Legislative Building. Also in Central and Northern Ontario, in solidarity with protesters in other parts of the country, some protesters plan to blockade the Trans-Canada Highway for 5 hours. So there are some actions planned on the other side of the argument for July 1st. Alan, back to you.
Take the more scenic route. You'll be fine.
Now, there is support for those who need it. The Indian Residential School Survivors Crisis Line is toll-free, and it is available within Canada 24 hours a day. Turning now to the latest COVID-19 news, months after the CDC released its first set of guidelines for fully vaccinated Americans, Canadians are finally getting some clarity. There are now some guidelines for what you can and can't do if you are fully vaccinated. Let's bring in our Erica Vela with more on what you need to know. Erica.
Well, Alan, many have been calling for more clarity on what people can and cannot do once they're fully vaccinated. And today, the Public Health Agency of Canada released guidelines that will hopefully do just that. The guidelines are in the form of a color-coded chart. Green means no masks or physical distancing needed. Red is the opposite. Now, according to the guidelines, if you're fully vaccinated and with other people who are fully vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask or physically distance when gathering indoors or outdoors. People can even hug. Now, the guidelines look at other situations as well, with large gatherings where there's a mix of vaccinated and partially vaccinated people. For those who aren't vaccinated or are partially vaccinated, the guidelines say people should continue to wear a mask and physically distance when in large crowds, both indoors and outdoors. People will still need to follow local public health advice in public settings as well. But experts say the guidelines help provide clarity as more and more Canadians become fully vaccinated.
I think the most successful thing about the document is that it gives us good guidance on what's safe for people who have been fully vaccinated, finally giving a concession to the fact that, look, these vaccines are very effective.
You know, it's not an exhaustive list of every single scenario you're going to get into, but it should be. It just sort of gives some practical tips of, you know, if everyone's vaccinated, for example, you can get together in small gatherings without masks or physical distancing. Like that makes sense.
Now, if you're looking for more information on the new guidance from the Public Health Agency of Canada, go to our website, globalnews.ca. You'll also be able to look at that color-coded chart and what it includes as well. Alan?
Thank you, Erica. Well, a lot of businesses are going to be busy over this weekend preparing for Step 2. That reopening begins on Wednesday. You may be among those booking a badly needed hair appointment. Good luck with that. It can be difficult to find an appointment, but you can't plan a trip to the movie theater. Do not even think about going inside a gym. Sean O'Shea is live downtown with that.
Don't even think. What the fucked up bullshit is that?
Alan, many businesses are being left behind, and many business owners say that they wish they weren't.
Part of the frustration in the industry, certainly in Ontario, is there really hasn't been any collaboration with the government at all.
With 3 fitness locations in Toronto, the owner of Body and Soul says his industry is being left out in Step 2 of reopening in Ontario. His gym spaces, like this one in downtown Toronto, are virtually empty and will likely stay that way for weeks. Darren Katz says the reopening plan for gyms has not been discussed with those in the business. There's been no consultation.
To me, it's been offensive that nobody, even the biggest players in our industry, have not really been brought to the table to ask for their input.
Nobody
about
have
how
not
we can
really
open.
been.
Fitness owners like Katz have followed all the rules, staying closed as required.
You were supposed to starve to death by now.
Others
Shut
like
up before they
Jim
come
in
shoot you.
Mississauga openly defied the rules. Step 2 means
got
other
a police
businesses
officer
legally have to
charge.
wait too. Don't plan on going to a live theater event or take a trip to the movies. They'll still be closed.
None of it makes sense.
John Matthews says he'd really like to go back to the gym because trying to stay fit on his own is tough after he suffered a serious injury 5 years ago.
So I have an ongoing back injury. I just can't do things like exercising, like bend over in that freehand. I need to have back support while I'm doing it.
See how they do you in Canada? He's paying for his own gym membership to go do this shit.
A few blocks from this parking lot workout, Body and Soul has no suitable outdoor space. Owner Darren Katz says his business is ready to open now, like it was last year.
No matter what restrictions
If it
we
was
put out there,
physiotherapy, he'd still be going to that person. That's not what they're
100%
talking about.
compliance and cooperation from our members because they just want to be back in the gym. They want to be back there safely.
He does that exercise wrong. He
As
can
I
fuck
said,
his back
outdoor
up worse. Is
fitness
what he's
is
saying.
permitted. It's going to be expanded under step 2, but not everybody can do it. And of course, there's the weather like we have today. And unless something changes, unless there's some change between now and next Wednesday, it's unlikely that there'll be any indoor fitness until at least late July. Alan.
Thank you, Sean. A Winnipeg long-haul truck driver is going to prison for causing a terrible crash that killed 4 and left many witnesses scarred for life. Crime specialist Catherine McDonald was at the sentencing hearing and has the story.
40-year-old Sarjeet Mathur walks into court almost exactly 5 years after causing a massive crash on Highway 400, killing 4 people, including 3 generations of one family. Just an hour after this, the Winnipeg truck driver is taken into custody, sentenced to 8 years in prison after a judge found him guilty of 5 counts of criminal negligence causing death and criminal negligence causing bodily harm for speeding down the busy highway in June 2016, failing to brake while the rest of the traffic had slowed down. Court also found Mathur drove for 26 hours straight with only 2 hours of sleep and was distracted by a hands-free phone at the time of the collision. Mathur told the court that his employer, Rainbow Transport, called him late on the day before the crash and told him he had to be in Southern Ontario at Maple Leaf Foods with his truck full of perishable goods the following day at 10 p.m. He told the court that he knew about the legal limits of driving on insufficient sleep and said he complained to the company. He said that the company implied to him that there would be consequences if he were late. Mathur also testified that the previous week he'd been asked to drive an overweight load and refused. When he refused, he would not be offered another job for a week. Regardless, the married father of 2 accepted the job and falsified his logbooks. In his reasons for Mathur's sentence, Justice Michael Code told the court, "I am satisfied his employer put pressure on him to drive on insufficient sleep, and he succumbed to this pressure due to his need to work to support his family. Mr. Mathur's strong work ethic made him susceptible to his employer's pressure to take the job, but there were choices he could make. He could have stood up to his employer as he had done before."
These companies, these driver-in companies that are falsifying logs, that are not carrying logs, they engage in all types of non-compliant behavior out of pure greed.
The president of the Canadian Trucking Alliance says electronic logging devices will soon be mandatory in all commercial trucks, preventing drivers and companies from pressuring their employees to drive on insufficient sleep.
Come June of 2022, they will all be uploaded or installed, and they'll be tamper-proof.
Mathur is also prohibited from driving for 10 years and could face deportation from Canada. Now, the judge said the owner of Rainbow Transport in Winnipeg was approached by police prior to the sentencing hearing about those allegations made by Mathur that he was pressured to drive on little sleep. Justice Michael Code said that the owner sought legal advice and after that declined to speak with investigators. Alan, back to you.
Thank you, Catherine. The power of the pen. If you thought letter writing was a thing of the past, well, think again. Coming up, 2 special people rejuvenating the art of the pen pal. The Habs heading to the Stanley Cup Finals. A historic achievement for the Canadians, but a dilemma for Leaf fans. Are you really really going to cheer for the haves?
Yes, I snore. Yes, I have sleep apnea. But also, my wife and I love to travel. Thanks to Dr. Premer, we no longer have to get separate hotel rooms.
Dr. Les Premer offers the totally portable dental device that's ideal for people who travel. No mask, no wires. New technology and materials mean a lighter, more comfortable, effective dental device for sleep apnea. Visit dentalsnoringsolutions.ca. Call 416-224-9998.
I'm Dr. Les Premer, and I'd like to give you and your family a good night's sleep.
Canada is way more than back bacon and maple syrup. We're also home of the shawarma taco. We are everything goes with whatever on anything. Smoked meat on fried rice? Heck yeah. We'll chase a hangover with a Caesar. And yes, that's with clam juice. We'll do deep fried turducken. We'll do hot pot, then top a casserole with hot dogs. Bring it. Because we are the ultimate party potluck. These are the foods we all love. And you can find them all at Real Canadian Superstore.
So, how's your blood pressure? Pretty good? What if I said
Jesus Christ.
10, 25%? Or
This
maybe
ain't a
no
medical
down payment
commercial,
at all?
this is a debt commercial.
Self-employed, bad credit, lots of consumer debt. So how's your pressure now? Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, wow. It's horrible. It is so horrible. So if you're a real Canadian, you take care of hangovers by getting drunk again. Wow. Thank you, sir. You know they could. You know you're broadcasting this on the internet. They can hear you in other countries. Eh?
With legal and backup vocals, the more that we advance.
Fucking hell.
Rates really great from 0.5% and shop SICKLY.
Driveways, decks, and sidewalks glow.
Twinkle, sparkle, and glow.
Oh, those gutters are gonna flow.
Shack Shine washes windows.
Shack Shine cleans gutters.
Shack Shine power washes driveways, decks, and sidewalks.
And boy, oh boy, do we do Christmas lights.
Shack
Shine.
Most
It would
important
take
story
you
of the day
7
they're gonna hide in
Saturdays
the
to
middle
do
of
what
all
Shack
this
Shine
shit.
can do in just a few hours. House detailing by Shack Shine.
ShackShine.com.
We are Toronto's news talk leader.
Canadians who receive the AstraZeneca vaccine will not be allowed to see Springsteen on Broadway when the border reopens. I don't know if you're a fan of The Boss, but I'm upset by this. It seems like this is vaccine prejudice.
So we're not supposed to know the brand. So you write down the brand next to our name and you give it to us.
TWOC.com. Record removal made easy. Weekdays at 9 a.m. or anytime from Apple and Spotify podcasts. We are 640 Toronto.
The pandemic has isolated many across Ontario, while some of us have picked up new hobbies. One Toronto teenager dedicated to bringing the art of the letter writing back, rather the art of letter writing. The art of reading apparently escapes me. The actual letter, not texting, not emails, no Snapchats, no TikToks. As Morgan Campbell reports, the pen pal program has brought much happiness during trying times between two people who are decades
You ran
apart.
out of news. You ran out of
Dear
news.
Miss
Bullshit, you
Laura,
ran
my
out of
name
news.
is Ariel.
Dear Ariel, so nice to hear from you, but I first got
The answer there is to make sure you scale up your vaccination rates. If you also have high cases, then we might encourage states to take the mitigation strategies that we know work to decrease the number of cases and increase the vaccination rate. For the most part, CDC has said since its initial mass guidance for fully vaccinated people that if you are not vaccinated, you should continue the standard mitigation strategies, distancing, hand washing, and masking that we know work to protect people.
So you don't have to wash your
In our
hands
final
anymore.
few seconds, even if you wanted to, do you think you could convince anyone to go back into lockdown? I mean, politically, it was tough.
Yeah, I think my job is to make sure that the public is safe. And so we have many strategies, many tools in our toolbox now to be able to do that. Vaccine is certainly one of them. And I think we have continued work ahead of us to get into these communities and to let people, give people the information they need so that they know vaccine is the best protection for them.
That's Dr. Rochelle Walensky, Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
Real close.
The trio met Friday at Kensington Place Retirement Residence and presented Ariel with a cake as a thank you for the joy she has given them through a trying time.
I see myself in her because she did something like this, which is bringing people together and making people happy.
And as the province reopens, the letters won't be stopping.
I think it's so important to reach out to people, even if you're busy, and it's just nice to receive a letter. Stay.
Behind me, that's our pinpoint radar showing the rain on this Friday evening. It's going to continue tomorrow. The risk of thunderstorms, and on kind of a gloomy day like today, we've got Storm the Weather Dog, your weekend forecast and beyond, coming right up. Right, buddy?
You got a dog? Damn it.
It is super hot, so Tim's has come up with the perfect
solution. There's a mixture of some crap, but they don't know what it is.
Oasis with a lifestyle adjustable bed. Designed with massage features, underbed lighting, USB ports, and more. You and your partner can customize your head and feet positions for your best sleep. Experience the ultimate in luxury and comfort. Buy any lifestyle adjustable bed and get 50% back on the Sleep Country promo card. Restrictions apply. See in store or online for details. Sleep well, stay well.
With lights underneath it. Why need lights underneath the bed?
Hey, it's John Oakley. There's nothing worse than plumbing issues, but luckily, there's Jiffy. My faucet's leaking, so I hopped on the Jiffy app and was paired with a plumber in minutes. Al, who was super responsive and efficient, came that same day, and now my taps are all working perfectly. I'm telling you, I've never had such a pleasant experience with a plumber in my life. Download the Jiffy app or sign up at jiffyondemand.com with the code AM640 for $25 off your first job. Jiffy, fast and reliable home maintenance for less.
Ricky is selling his 2012 pickup truck. It seems great, but Ricky...
Hey, there's a half pack of beef jerky in the glove box. It's all
yours. Good thing there's Gartree Used Car Warranties, a simple subscription service that lets you breathe easy, knowing you're covered for unforeseen repair costs, even if you bought the car from someone like Ricky.
Hey, can we hurry this up? Technically, I'm under house arrest.
Gartree Used Car Warranties. See gartree.ca for more info.
Ontario, do you feel that Honda feeling? That 2021 Honda Civic feeling? That windows down feeling? That exceptional handling, smooth ride feeling? That $3,000 in cash incentives on all remaining 2020...
And I'm Audie Cornish. Today, across the U.S., hundreds of children will have a mental breakdown and be rushed to an emergency room.
911, this call is recorded. What's your emergency?
Hi, my 13-year-old seems she's going to kill herself.
Can you still see her, ma'am? Yeah. Okay, stay on the line. We'll dispatch.
In this case, a mom shakes with anxiety as she stands in her kitchen with her eyes fixed on her daughter, who has begged her to call 911. Like many children during the pandemic, Melinda has been struggling for several months. And as requests for mental health care overwhelm what's available, it's creating bottlenecks like the one Melinda is about to enter.
You should be visual.
Okay.
Oh, my.
What's her name?
Melinda.
Martha Beebinger at station WBUR in Boston takes the story from here. And one note, we're using only Melinda and her mom's first name for their privacy.
EMTs arrived to take Melinda to a hospital emergency room.
Okay, they just pulled up, so.
Okay.
Just stay on until they enter, then I'll hang up, okay?
Okay. Okay, that's it.
Emergency rooms are not typically places you check in for the night. If you break an arm, it gets set and you leave. If you have a heart attack, you'll soon be transferred upstairs for a hospital bed. But if your brain is not well and you end up in an ER, there's a good chance the emergency will then become getting stuck there.
The what?
Hi, my name's Melinda. I've been here 12 days.
I meet Melinda after almost 2 weeks of what's called emergency room boarding. She spent the first 10 days on a gurney in a hospital lecture hall with a dozen other kids, all separated by curtains because the hospital ER is full. They wait in various states of distress because all of the child psychiatric beds in Massachusetts and some neighboring states are also full. At one point, Melinda tries to escape,
years, it's going to be an explosion of gang
injected with
violence.
sedatives, and moved to a small windowless room.
There are cameras
How
in
old
my
is this
room,
report?
so I'm being watched. I'm not allowed any sharps.
They're not watching. They
Kinda
don't
like
give a
prison.
fuck what happens to you in there.
It feels like I'm desperate for help.
Melinda and her mother agreed to record audio diaries while they wait.
My name is Pam. I am Melinda's mom. You know, we occasionally hear screaming, monitors beeping. Even as the parent, it's very scary and it's desperate feeling.
Pam says Melinda spiraled downward last summer. She has therapists, but the visits have been virtual, and she hasn't made good connections between crises. This is Melinda's 4th trip to an emergency room since late November.
And each time, it's the same routine. We go to the ER, we stay for a few days. She goes to a facility, she stays there for 7 to 10 days and comes home. She's out of control. She feels out of control in her own skin.
Each psychiatric facility suggests a different diagnosis and adjusts Melinda's medication. There's no mental health treatment in the ER.
This is Melinda. This is day 13 in the ER. I just really want to get out of here, and I feel kind of helpless. I miss my pets and my bed and real food.
Hi, this is Pam. Just visited with her, and she was very manic. Found out that the other night she had a panic attack and an episode with staff where they had to administer.
For adults, you're thinking needles.
This is Melinda. Today is 14 days at the ER. I'm not really sleeping well. Sleep is really tough here. I keep waking up in the middle of the night.
Pam works 2 jobs, but comes to the hospital daily, bringing Melinda clothes, books, or treats.
Some days I sit and cry before I get out of the car, so I don't cry in front of her.
It's hard to know how many children are in psychiatric crisis and being held in an emergency room. But demand is rising. New data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show recent ER visits for suspected suicide attempts up 50% for teen girls.
This is day 15. She's much worse. She's at times unrecognizable to me. She's currently on a list for 6-7 hospitals, and not a single one has had an opening in 2 weeks.
Later that day, Pam learns that 2 girls who arrived after Melinda and might have been better behaved have been transferred to psych units ahead of Melinda. Pam is told her daughter might be hard to place.
She's having behaviors because she has a mental illness, which they're supposed to help her with, but yet they're saying no to her because she's having behaviors.
Well, what do you think we do at mental health services? Mental health services? What's wrong with you?
In the ER. Life is really, I guess, hard because things that should be easy for everyone that are just hard for me. And when I ask for help, sometimes I picture going to the hospital. Other times I wish someone would just understand me.
Melinda says the pandemic was isolating and she had more time to worry about being depressed.
This is Pam, Melinda's mom, and today was day 17, but we finally got the call that she has a placement, and hopefully whatever help she gets this time sticks.
After the ER, Melinda spent 2 weeks in a hospital psychiatric program.
She's seen it as like warranty service on a product she bought.
Now she's back home with 3 therapists helping her use what she's learned. This week, Massachusetts has about 200 children boarding in local ERs waiting for help. Advocates say these kids are the most visible signs of a mental health system that is buckling at every level under pandemic stress.
This is modern day residential
for NPR
schools.
News,
They get
I'm
paid
Martha
for every day
Niebuhr in
that you're
Boston.
there.
And this story comes from NPR's partnership with WBUR and Kaiser Health News. And if you or someone you know may be considering suicide, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.
Yesterday, Johnson County, Iowa renamed itself Johnson County. The change was in the first name.
It was originally named for Richard Mentor Johnson, Martin Van Buren's vice president. He was a slaveholder from Kentucky with no personal ties to Iowa. To right that wrong, Johnson County is now named for Lulu Merle Johnson, a history professor who died in 1995.
She was born in Gravity, Iowa. Her father had been enslaved. She became the first African-American woman to earn a PhD in the state at the University of Iowa in Johnson County in 1941. Royce Ann Porter was on the committee that pushed for and selected the change.
Despite facing discrimination because of her race and gender, she went on to succeed. And I mean, as a Black woman, we always know that we can have something to look forward to.
Johnson's dissertation was called The Problem of Slavery in the Old Northwest, and because of her race, she could not live on campus, nor could she teach at the university. Professor Johnson went on to teach at historically Black colleges before becoming Dean of Pennsylvania's Cheyney University.
Lisa Green Douglas, another supervisor on the committee, read the resolution.
Be it resolved that we, the Board of Supervisors of Johnson County, Iowa, shall henceforth recognize as its official eponym Dr. Lulu Merle Johnson, an inspirational woman whose story of accomplishment in the face of adversity is one of which the citizens of Johnson County can be proud for generations to come.
It was approved unanimously.
This is NPR News.
Oh shit, speaking of news.
But with the Habs now playing for the Cup, many elite nations have to decide now whether or not to get on the bandwagon.
You can now buy beer brewed in the cup.
Giving 2 weeks notice, the week's developments in science and politics and all the latest news Saturday on Weekend Edition from NPR News.
Will you care for that?
Is this on camera?
Yeah. You can tell us the truth.
Yes. But I wanted the Leafs there. I'm happy for them. Love to see a Canadian team make the Stanley Cup Finals. But it's not the same as if the Jets were in it. So,
you mean
or the Leafs?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
It's an absolute beauty, and it's so often it's
I hope they win. I think it would be, well, we just need that kind of perk and bragging rights.
Any team that gets this far is like a family. You gotta love each other. That is Global News at 6. Thanks for watching and for listening. Have yourself a great weekend. Be safe.
Time now for a check on the roads with a look at Chopper. Live from NPR News in Culver City, California, I'm Dwayne Brown. The U.S. Attorney General says the Justice Department is suing Georgia over the state's restrictive new voting law. The suit alleges the law hampers ballot access for Black voters who turned out in large numbers during the 2020 election to support Joe Biden's victory. The suit alleges Republican lawmakers in Georgia rushed through a sweeping overhaul with an intent to deny Black voter access or equal access to the ballot. Here's Attorney General Merrick Garland.
The Civil Rights Division continues to analyze other state laws that have been passed, and we are following the progress of legislative proposals under consideration in additional states.
Under consideration.
Where we believe the civil rights of Americans have been violated, we will not hesitate to act.
As of mid-May, restrictive voting laws have been passed in at least 14 other GOP-led states. The U.S. Supreme Court is also weighing a voting rights law dispute from Arizona. The Atlanta-based estate of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has reached a deal to publish King's literary archives. As Christopher Alston of member station WABE tells us, publisher HarperCollins has a long history with Dr. King.
HarperCollins published King's first book, Stride Toward Freedom, in 1958, and went on to publish several others during his lifetime. An agent for the King estate says they are pleased to have the rights back with his original publisher, which can use its global footprint to expand the reach of King's message. The deal includes rights to publish King's work in any language, in any format, from children's books to graphic novels.
That's pretty
HarperCollins said in a press release, the company hopes to engage prominent Black scholars, artists, and activists to help bring King's work to life. The first of the archives will be published in January 2022 to coincide with Martin Luther King Jr. Day. For NPR News in Atlanta, I'm Christopher Alston.
This is NPR. The death of an outspoken critic of the Palestinian Authority is sparking demonstrations and rare public criticism of the region's leader, Mahmoud Abbas. NPR's Deborah Amos reports.
Activist and critic Nizar Banat, a 42-year-old house painter who also wrote a popular and scathing blog, died in the custody of Palestinian security officials this week. His family describes a violent arrest. Dozens of Palestinian officers who came for him at 3 a.m. and beat him with metal batons. The Palestinian government that has limited self-autonomy in parts of the Israeli-occupied West Bank has recently arrested dozens of opponents as its popularity has plummeted among Palestinians. Banat's death is seen as a crisis. Palestinian officials have promised a full investigation. In demonstrations on Thursday, Palestinians called for the fall of the regime and get out Abbas. Deborah Amos, NPR News, Jerusalem.
In New York, Donald Trump's company could soon face criminal charges stemming from a long-running investigation into the former president's business dealings. Manhattan prosecutors have been scrutinizing Trump's tax records and interviewing executives and insiders with the Trump Organization. No charges have been filed yet.
No, they probably won't be.
The Conciliation Commission went to him years ago, and he asked the Prime Minister for money so that they could do technical forensic audits of residential school grounds, because so many survivors had come to him with stories that they believed their children were dead and buried on residential grounds, and Justin Trudeau denied the funding. I mean, it's great, sure. In the last couple of weeks, his government has coughed up $23 million, which is a pittance. But 6 years ago, this very Prime Minister was well aware that thousands of children's bodies might be buried across Canada, and he chose to do nothing. And the only reason we know about these graves is because the individual bands came up with their own cash and their own technology, and they did this themselves. And for a guy who promised to bring reconciliation to Indigenous people, it's really hard to reconcile why this guy did not act when he could, because he's had years. I mean, Trudeau, more than anyone, should be acutely aware of the need for action. And his own father allowed these schools to operate for 15 years. And Trudeau's senior, his Indian Affairs Minister was Jean Chrétien. He was the guy who wrote the controversial white paper. This was a proposal to abolish all legal documents that previously existed, including the Indian Act, and rid of any existing treaties within Canada. It also proposed to assimilate an entire ethnic group without their input and refuse First Nations rights to govern themselves. And so, of course, it was met with outrage by Indigenous groups who saw it as not just racist, but a way for government to absolve itself of all past wrongdoings. And so they can claim shock now. They can send their useless thoughts and prayers, but there are many living politicians and prime ministers in this country who have known for a very long time that these crimes were being carried out in residential schools across this country under their watch. Joe Clark, Brian Mulroney, Jean Chrétien, Kim Campbell. There's more, and they all knew. And so instead of ripping down statues from an era when this practice may have somehow been seen as acceptable, it would be more meaningful, I think, to many to hold those living leaders to account. Demand that they explain how in modern day Canada, the country, the kind of country that is disregarded as kind and
96, 97, or 98.
It was okay to rip the native out of these children,
all the way
even
up
if it led to their abuse or death. And for me, it's really only since the discovery of the unmarked graves in Kamloops, BC, that it kind of dawned on me why our generation wasn't taught about
ripping the native out of you is okay.
What government would allow lessons to kids of how they stole native children from their families so they could make them more white? In my days back in high school, and as a while ago, we were taught that Louis Riel was a savage. Natives traded their land to the white man in trade for alcohol and guns. It's oversimplifying it. But
no, it's not. I've had a number of white people yell that at me.
About our country's indigenous history. Certainly nothing
about half-breed, nigger lover. Ow, that hurts, that hurts. And he stops making noise. And then the
back when I was in high school, they were still operating. And really only since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission came out did, I think, most Canadians start realizing what the residential schools were, but they were really only talked about as a cruel place where Indigenous kids were forced to go. I mean, nowhere that I can recall in the mainstream was the public discussion that thousands of kids, you know, are buried in unmarked graves across the country because they might have been raped, might have been killed, maybe they got sick, they were malnourished. We never heard about that.
Really?
And certainly,
all the
these
documents
voices
public
were
that were
raised
needed to know
by
what
those
happened.
in Indigenous communities.
300
They
calories a
talked
day,
about it. They
same
took
as
the
the
claims
Dutch
to
hunger went
Justin
to.
Trudeau, the guy
It's a
promising
starvation diet, kills you
reconciliation.
faster than no calories, from
And
what I can tell.
he did nothing to investigate,
Painful too.
which might be the very biggest issue that would start the process of healing and getting true reconciliation.
They
And
tested what would happen if you
listening to Mr.
gave
Trudeau
people food
today,
with no
I think it was
nutrients
really
in it, no
clear
vitamins.
that he still has no plans to offer up anything other than these hollow words and symbolic actions, because he was asked a number of times, I counted at least 7 times very clearly, will you support an independent criminal investigation to look into these crime scenes? And what we got was kabuki theater.
So I've heard some people say you should just go in with bulldozers and dig them up and find out exactly what happened. These are people's grandparents, great aunts, great uncles, loved ones. Respect for them, understanding their wishes, their desires. Yes, for answers, for closure, but also for dignity and respect for those loved ones they lost.
Sorry, but no one has asked.
Put brown face on and dance, little white boy. I'm gonna throw pennies at you.
Really. What chiefs across this
I hope
country
everywhere his motorcade goes,
asked for
minorities throw pennies at him.
is a criminal
Because it's
investigation
the only coin that's
into
brown.
what they call crime scenes. They want action. And the Prime Minister can use his power to compel the Catholic Church to hand over records so that they can find out what happened to their loved ones, who did it, connect them to their families. We can right some wrongs. We can correct history. The Prime Minister has the power to do that.
Did
He
you
can
think
set
of what
up a
you
royal
just said?
commission.
Connect them to their families. Hey, wait,
And
hold
today,
on. Time out. Don't
There
do
was
that.
absolutely zero talk of, yes, we're
You get a
looking
whole
into
lot of
that.
people killed for no reason.
Yes, that is a priority. Yes, we will do that. It was all, well, it's all about peace and it's all about help and it's all about healing. No, there's time for that. But you can do 2 things at once. You can get justice and you can bring healing. Which makes me think, well, maybe he doesn't want history to remember his father harshly. I don't know. But if he's at all serious about reconciliation, he's got to stop with the hot air and start putting his fist down to demand answers and accountability. And clearly, since Cam Loops, it doesn't seem like it's part of his plan. Otherwise, we would have heard it. Absolutely by now, we would have heard it. Nonetheless, we will talk about this. We will also talk about how Mr. Trudeau is standing by Carolyn Bennett. Why? He knows her heart. Oh, yes. He knows her heart. So we're going to talk about that and whether or not that will become a festering wound for him, because a group of BC chiefs are saying, we want a resignation. We won't work with Carolyn Bennett. But clearly the minister is quite important to this Prime Minister. Don't forget, she's my minister, my MP in downtown Apple Red, Toronto, a very important Liberal seat. So he does not want to get rid of a minister during his quest for an election. Busy show,
All the conservatives
and we will get to it, including rules for the vaccinated. And who the hell knows what Dr. Change Your Mind is saying, because I literally can't understand what she's saying, because she couldn't really explain it today. And she'll probably change her mind in a few days anyway. But nonetheless, we've got some new rules. One of the questions I want to ask the doctor, though, on the other side of the break is why we are not being as proactive as we were with AstraZeneca when it comes to putting, mRNA shots into anybody, given the case counts of inflammation in the heart, especially when it comes to kids. So we'll talk about that and more. We haven't visited with the doctor in a bit, so we'll have him on in just a minute. Stay with us here as we get you into this weekend that we all need here. I'm Alex Pearson on Point. This is Global News Radio.
And now it's time to go out and take a look at the roads with chopper traffic. Here's Ari Rabinovich.
And now we have word from NTO in Milton on the East 401 approaching Trafalgar and possibly a crash off to the right shoulder. But it is slowing traffic down in the area, even more so than it already was. So now it's busy on the East 401 through Milton from about Highway 25.
Even more so than it already was.
You'll also find it's busy westbound from
We know you're from here, dickhead.
But the rest of the highways are also trouble-free relatively. We also have very busy traffic with a lot of volume still lingering and the same conditions.
Traffic free relatively. What's that mean?
So the delays will
Relative to where?
weather conditions. There's also a new
Relative to where?
With an 18th century model, and we're in the 21st century, and so we have to reimagine and transform public safety. And I think, you know, taking some of the responsibilities from police, like mental health responses, traffic, minor traffic stops, those kinds of things will begin to help improve community relations moving forward.
They don't respond to anything anymore.
Andrea Jenkins is vice president of the Minneapolis
They don't
City
respond to
Council.
noise complaints. They don't take reports of cell phones, and they don't.
Thank you for having me.
I wonder how many people tried to report a lost cell phone to get that $10 a month insurance replacement. They don't respond to a single zone residential
You're
alarm.
listening to All Things Considered. Vice President Kamala Harris just wrapped a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso, Texas. She met migrant children at a Customs and Border Protection
You should have
facility.
brought
and
Justin
toured a
Trudeau with you.
busy
He would have
border
put on
crossing.
makeup and put on
It's
a
a
show
trip
for
that
them.
she and the White House had resisted, as Republican critics sought to highlight a surge of migrants at the border. NPR White House correspondent Tamara Keith has been following this and joins us now. And Tam, tell us more about who the Vice President was visiting with, who she spoke to.
Yeah, she got an arguably sanitized view of the situation at the border. She visited
It's a
El
sanitized
Paso,
view of
where
everything.
things were much more problematic earlier this year, with unaccompanied children being held longer than they were supposed to be. But since then, they've sped things
Being
up so
held
the
by
kids
people
can
they
move
shouldn't
more
have been held
quickly
by.
to shelters run by the
Yeah.
Department of Health and Human
Get to the
Services.
complaints of
And
pedophilia quickly.
she wanted to highlight that improvement, but she did not visit one of those shelters. And there is one nearby, and there are very real concerns about the conditions there. Outside of the view of the press, she met with several migrant children, and it was part of an overall effort on this trip to focus on the humanitarian aspect of the immigration crisis rather than on enforcement. And at the end, she stopped to talk to reporters on the tarmac, and she urged people to focus less on to make it less political.
This issue cannot be reduced to a political issue. We're talking about children, we're talking about families, we're talking about suffering, and our approach has to be thoughtful and effective.
Did Republicans, for instance, Texas Senator John Cornyn, questioning why Harris chose to visit El Paso rather than, say, the Rio Grande Valley? How did you talk about that choice?
Yeah, so in terms of migrant apprehensions, the situation is much more controlled in El Paso than what's happening in the Rio Grande Valley. And that's why critics say that she should have gone there instead. But she said part of the reason she picked El Paso was because that is where the Trump administration first piloted its policy of separating migrant children from their parents. And she wanted to highlight that. So even as she was saying, get past the politics, she did want to cast blame on former President Donald Trump. She emphasized that the Biden administration approach is not just about enforcement, but also about root causes of migration in Central America. And certainly those challenges didn't start with President Biden. Though some allies even have said that the administration's messaging emphasizing being more humane may have created a pull effect. And now it's 5 months into this administration.
Promo. See it?
He was the vice president of that administration.
Sleep well, stay well.
How did everybody forget that?
Rough driving conditions can chip your windshield in the blink of an eye.
At one
Speedy
point, he was
Glass,
Donald
we can
Trump's
quickly
left-hand
fix that
man
chip
or
before
whatever.
it turns into a crack. Hi, I'm Keith at Speedy Glass, and my team and I
See,
use
you
unique
busting your
cutting-edge
window while
technology to
driving around
get you
looking for
road-ready
crack?
fast. Our work comes with a lifetime
Good
warranty,
work.
and
You
it may
hooked up
even be
crack?
free for you if you're insured. So don't ignore that chip. Book your appointment today at speedyglass.ca. Conditions apply. Details at speedyglass.ca.
Speedy Glass Repair. Speedy Glass Replace.
Welcome back to On Point with Alex Pearson on Global News Radio.
Because it's not a straight black and white sort of everybody take off the mask, everybody just do whatever you want, we would like to enable people to take themselves through that kind of risk assessment while respecting local public health.
Can we talk about the fact that shit going around the world
You got
and
that?
in every animal?
Clear as mud?
Your vaccine
Yeah.
don't mean shit. If the animals still have it, it'll
Oh boy, a lot of
mutate
confusion
again.
on what we can and can't do once we're fully vaccinated because
Well,
as usual,
let's
Doctor
see
Change
if
Your
I can
Mind just keeps adding to the confusion.
All
She
right,
went out
close it all
to
the way
address the
through.
media today about these new guidelines for vaccinations, and yet you hadn't even seen them yet. So that's why public health had to come
So
out
you
later
freeze it at
and say,
minus
oh,
18
here's
for
the,
21 days,
here are the
it'll kill
guidelines,
bacteria,
take a look at
but
them.
not
And frankly, I read the guidelines,
parasites.
still trying to figure them
But not-
out, because all it looks like is that we can do pretty much what we got to do last summer.
Very good.
I might be a bit cynical, but
Liquid blood if it is.
that's just
Very
me.
nice.
Dr. David Jacobs, Ontario Specialist Association Chair, Coalition of Ontario Doctors, and President of the Ontario Association of Radiologists. Good to have you, sir. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me back.
All right, so everyone's wanting to know what happens when we finally get 2 vaccinations. Everything go back to normal,
level,
and
and then
I'm
you have
picking
to
up
pay
that
some boss to get to the next
we just
realm.
get to keep living like we're gonna live.
Stage or whatever.
Well, yeah, exactly. You get to not get
boil this in the
COVID, which
package.
is really
That's what I'm
good.
gonna do, eh?
And if you do happen to be unfortunate and catch it, you'll get a much more mild case of it. So I agree with you in some ways that there's not a lot of change when you have two vaccines, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is the Delta variant is highly contagious. You can still catch it when you've been vaccinated. And I guess they're just being extra cautious.
Are you stupid? You can still transmit the shit. You're not listening.
Ago. You know, honestly.
Yeah.
Where was the urgency?
Fully vaccinated people die from this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little irritating.
no meat juice on
could
the
have
outside.
prevented a lot of the problems that we have had if we were behaving like this earlier. Regardless, what I see is the following: when you've had 2 vaccines and you're outdoors, you're safe, 100%. Safe to do whatever the heck you want to do. You want to do as you would have prior to having been vaccinated.
Who told this guy
With the exception of going to large venue events, but large venue events aren't going to be allowed anyhow. So just
better tell that to Genesis and Elton John because they don't know.
When you're outdoors, you're fine. And now the other thing to think about with in terms of what's coming next is we're doing exceptionally well in terms of.
Did you play the game when they
fighting
mentioned
vaccine
Phil Collins? Which
and
Phil
we have
Collins
a
song
very
pops into your
good,
head?
Acceptance of vaccines in our society.
You did, too.
And so I think within about a month, we will have hit such a high level of double vaccination that we're going to be very much in the herd immunity.
They're not saying
area,
full, they're saying
and I think
double.
that we'll be able to do
Because you're going to have to get 3 and 4 and 5.
have in the U.S. and as the CDC recommends south of the border.
Yeah, well, don't jinx it. I mean, apparently we have to be 75% fully vaccinated for life to go back to a semblance of normal. But, it's interesting because I called the pharmacy today because I'm trying to get the second AstraZeneca shot because that's what I'm going to stick with. And I'm at that 8-week mark.
Such a
so
good
I called the
person. You're
pharmacy
such a
and
good
he said,
person.
oh, well, you're not up yet, so you've got to wait for the call. And I said, but I want the AstraZeneca shot. He said, oh, you want that shot? Oh, okay. So it's not automatic that the pharmacies who have you on the list for AstraZeneca think that you want AstraZeneca. So if there's anyone out there is trying to get an AstraZeneca shot, you have to be very clear when you talk to the pharmacy that you're going for your AstraZeneca shot, because I think a lot of the pharmacies are assuming that the AstraZeneca users will get an mRNA shot. And so his words to me were, okay, thanks for telling us that. We're going to put you on a list.
We're just mixing and
we'll be in
matching
touch
everything
soon.
in Canada.
So, I don't think they would have called me if I hadn't told them I wanted to stick with the same shot.
No, that's good. And yes, there still is a lot of low-level chaos.
You would have never known what shot you got.
Vaccines in terms of just being able to schedule it. There are a lot of rules with different places. You know, oh, you can only get it if you're in this area code, or sorry, postal code, or if you're this type of a worker or whatever. There are so many rules in place, and if we were to just now be able to remove all those rules and just make it a free-for-all and say, come and get your vaccine as soon as you need it, and we had also, if we had all the Pfizer shots available, we would get through this much
That's all you got for us. You were talking about.
What if we just continued giving AstraZeneca or I do want to ask you about this because it makes no sense to me. FDA is moving quickly as of this week to add warning labels about these rare cases of heart inflammation in adolescents and young adults when they get Pfizer or Moderna. WHO has come out this week and said kids should not be getting these shots. Now, it's estimated roughly 1 in 3,000 people are affected. It's a mild heart inflammation. There have been more serious cases, but mainly it happens to younger males. And then you look at the blood clot issue with the AZ, and you look at the UK.
What's the blood clot
and
issue?
there were 8 blood clot cases for every 1 million shots. The numbers are higher with the heart inflammation, yet there is no call, no urgency for maybe putting a pause on kids under 18. Why?
Because you're dumb enough to give them a shot.
So it's complicated. One of the issues is what happens when you get a blood clot. So if you get a blood clot and you get a stroke, or if you get a blood
That's not
clot,
what she asked. She asked, why aren't they cutting back on this shit for kids? When kids have already had the guests on, the vaccinologist said there's no reason to vaccinate kids.
So if you get deep venous,
is the risk of the vaccine outweighs the risk of the underlying condition you're intending to prevent.
Was this song the first time you...
3 days, and the pay, $200,000.
200,000? Sounds more like a prank to me. Rojan, I know you're under a lot of stress staying here. Maybe I should go back to Beijing with you.
With that, we end today's edition of Chinese Theater. Tomorrow we'll continue with a drama series entitled The Strike of the Ant Tribe. Thank you for tuning in and see you tomorrow.
I think that you have to look at the two situations differently because they have different
5 minutes to 7 in the morning on Saturday in China.
Yeah, I just I
people
look
are
at
up
the
watching
ethics of it
this,
and I say, well, if we had any doubt whatsoever that a certain age group, especially when younger people, that they'd say, okay, let's pause it on kids for a while till we get a bit more data and we'll just keep, vaccinating the rest. But for whatever reason, it's not an ethical dilemma. So I just find it a little bit odd that we were so over the top with AstraZeneca, not so much with Pfizer.
Well, as I said, the end result is quite serious with a blood clot, and maybe a little less so. We're seeing people dying from the AstraZeneca, whereas with the inflammation, with the myocarditis, we haven't seen that. So again, we get back to balancing risks.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that. But nonetheless, all right, Doctor, nice chatting with you. Have a nice rainy weekend, and hopefully you'll get a bit of a downtime and a bit of a break. Appreciate your time.
Sounds good. Talk soon.
Dr. David Jacobs joining me here, having him on. We don't have him on quite as often because, of course, we don't cover quite as much of COVID because everyone's tired of it. When we come back, we'll get the latest on the verdict out of trial involving a St. Mike's student who is guilty of sexual assault and gang sexual assault. Will he get the punishment that fits the crime? Not so sure about that.
Well, we're not going to find out because it's going to be the employment law show for some fucking reason in the middle of her show.
Take it seriously. Join registered therapist Yona Bud Saturdays at 10 p.m. as he offers to assist you in dealing with addiction, mental health challenges, and more. Road to Recovery with your host, Yona Bud, Saturdays at 10 p.m. only on 640 Toronto.
Were you laid off with 2 weeks' pay? You need employmentlawyer.ca. Get a free severance package review and find out how much you are actually owed, potentially at
Your royalty-free music.
Friday's Lotomax jackpot is an estimated $50 million.
This station is charging for ads. All their content's free. The music royalty free.
On this album that you're releasing.
Damn it! Damn it!
Letzte Zeit guter Mensch, will noch was schaffen, weil muss ich weg, denn irgendwann ist man zu alt für den Dreck. Vorher will ich doch eine Palette voll Geld besetzt, ich will in den Safe beim Festival für Fans, alte Kloppen, einfach
The max.
So, our mortgage approval is done?
Great news. The bank has approved you at a 1.55% rate.
What the what? That's way too high. Butler Mortgage is...
For a very careful human examination was done. They asked us to just simply say, is this human or not? And we found all the spores that we looked at were
Sakes, please.